his head, and there he goes. Abyss gonna clean him up.
Olaf goes down. Everyone's just gonna line up here for Lazzy. He's gonna find himself the Quadra. Give it to him. Pentakill.
Priestley with the quad feed.
Gets the ace. Available, just spin to win all over.
That game was insane.
Saints Nation, welcome back to PlayVS Fortnite Trios, the final week of competitive action here for this tournament. Looking to be an exciting one, considering our Saints top 7 look to push even higher. My name's Dan Banner, also known as Mr. Danners, and for once, I'm not alone here. Welcome, Shadi Hannah, to the first time for the Fortnite side of things. Welcome aboard. Are you excited for this one? I'm
nervous. I don't know how else to say it. It's sounds like it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a very busy night, high impact, and definitely going to put my skills to the test. But I'm really excited to see some greatness from this team. We've seen some really excellent performances from them so far. Great win record, and it'd be cool to actually get to see it live for the first time for myself. So nothing but goodness over here.
Absolutely fair enough, and that is one of the beautiful things about these PlayVS Fortnite game days, is that since there is so much action, you can go from like just starting off and then still get so many matches of experience just off of one night. But as you hear in the background, it sounds like we're falling out of the bus. We're going to get things started with game number 1 out of a possible 10. And of course, all point of views here from tonight will be from the coach/captain. That'll be Ciri leading the charge here for tonight. For the most part, it's going to be pretty standard, looks like, here for the side of St. Clair. They've been basically the entire season long, for the most part, landing around the same vicinity, able to loot up nicely. Usually there's that transport truck that has all of the bonus shields if you break it as well. And we'll probably see them fall in and start looting. It's just a matter of, will they be alone? I think there's actually maybe a few people nearby and maybe trying to challenge.
It looks like 1 or 2 teams also landing pretty close by. So it might be a high impact start to this game. I know myself personally, whenever I get into these battle royales, I'm always hiding from as many people as I can for like the first 10 minutes. But it's good to see, some early combat going to be coming out likely from these teams. As actually Ciri manages to grab himself a decent amount of armor there and get that chugged down before that first fight.
Yeah, hopefully there for the side of Saints here for Ciri anyway. He can find himself some small potions before using that big one. Unfortunately, yes, we do realize that there's a little bit of pixelation on the screen. That is not you. That is on our end. It's just a little bit of an internet bug that we will be trying to deal with as we go through tonight. And we see a nice little pickup actually here for Ciri. Is that a legendary shotgun? That would be a nice pickup to start with some possible close encounters, but same time, I'm sure Saints don't necessarily want to find themselves into a battle this early, but it'll depend on everyone else's loadout too.
No, it's always good to find yourself that nice legendary loot pickup to start things off, Ciri. I think you found somebody on the hills. So I'm going to be honest, a little hard to see right now.
Yes, it is a little bit.
The video feed we're getting, but it is what it is. And no, nothing too extreme so far. Is that bow and arrow? That looks sick.
Absolutely, yeah. So the sniper rifles in this game have been taken out, and actually Ciri's going to find the first shot. Nicely done, considering the amount of travel that arrow has to do to actually make contact with its target. But yeah, sniper rifles in this patch have been replaced by the bow and arrows, and of course crafting is now a part of the game as well. So one thing you'll probably see, I know, Zeddy, you've been kind of paying attention to a little bit of R6, so I keep making this comparison. But basically, you can turn your crossbow, your bow and arrow, into a smoke canister with poison gas, with crafting abilities, with stuff that you pick up along the map. So that, mortar shells, you can do lots of fun things with your bow and arrow.
Oh man, love watching the rest of the team just pull up in the whip and get ready to scrap. Already a little bit of a build war happening here up on top of this building, but Ciri's with the gas canister in hand. I'm excited to see what's going on here. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I like you mentioned, there's been a lot of recent changes to the game, but just for me in general, like seeing all the different tools that players will be able to kind of use to the best of their ability here. As you mentioned, Ciri really making a lot of work out of this bow and arrow, just doing what he can from a distance, but nothing too crazy so far in this game. It seems like a pretty chill start for everyone. Everyone's just happy to take it slow.
Yeah, somebody was thinking about maybe messing with the Saints a little bit. Ciri and the rest of the squad found themselves a little bit of damage, but I don't think anything too significant nonetheless. Everyone's going to play safe. Of course, you play this, or you play your cards right here, you could still have yourself quite a ways to go. Of course, with the video feed being as odd as it is here today, I'm not going to be able to really see what the player count is. I think that was a 74 up in the top right. Of course, again, bear with us. We're still trying to fix that up here tonight. But can still at least get a general idea of what is happening. And I think I had called that that golden gun a shotgun, but then it started shooting like an assault rifle. I'm all kinds of confused. But
you and me both. You and me both. I'm just shocked by the fact that there's bounties in Fortnite now.
Yes, yes. There's NPCs that you could talk to. They have
What?
They have bounties. You can, whether it be trying to attack other players or trying to survive, shooting your own cars to get supplies for crafting. Like, there's a bunch of different stuff since when, I guess, the initial craze happened. We can kind of see here with Ciri. I think that's going to be his assault rifle. He's trying to level up here based off of the golds that he got from bounties. And sure enough, that is going to be the case. Going to level that thing up to a blue from the green. So a little more damage, a little bit more accuracy, but a solid upgrade nonetheless.
This is blowing my mind. I played Fortnite when I was in beta, and I begged everybody I knew to play with me. I thought it was the coolest game ever. I'd run out into farmland. I'd just start building like a giant fort with all these traps around the door, and like it was like a sand castle. And then nobody just like I was just felt like I was playing by myself for the longest time. And as soon as I quit, it blew up, became the biggest thing ever. I remember golf carts got introduced, and just, my mind was blown. And now it's like an RPG at the same time as a battle royale. Like, it's crazy the amount of stuff you can do right now.
I was gonna say, did you quit prior to, or were you there for the mech warriors?
The what, sorry?
When battle mechs were a thing?
Not a clue. I don't even know how to process that question.
That is a-okay. That you didn't miss nothing, so it's all good. That was a tough time, but nonetheless, season 2, of course, patch 2 or 3.
Sanders, that's some HD video quality we got going on here. We can actually count that player score. Looks like we're down to 66 now already into this game. So about a third of the way down, 2/3 of the way to go. And so far, St. Clair's been pretty MIA on the action.
Yeah, which is like pretty fair. Like, still plenty of time to go. It's not going to be until the first like 1 or 2 rounds of Storm moving on in that you really start to kind of pinch in a little bit. It won't be uncommon to see like 50 to 60 players. And we do see, of course, yeah, this is going to be the NPC duel, pretty standard. He drops you the purple scar, pretty well guaranteed. So a lot of people love that weapon. And the fact that NPC will give it to you every single time for the most part, as long as you beat him in a duel, definitely going to be profiting here for Ciri.
When I played Fortnite, back in my day, Danner, let me tell you a story from my prime, my day. When you beat the bots, it's because half the player base was automated because people still weren't even playing the video game. Now you're telling me in the Play versus Collegiate season finale, you can PvE Fortnite and it's legit.
Well, yeah, just you haven't seen the wolves or anything in this patch either, too,
I don't
right?
even, every word that comes out of your mouth confuses me and scares me.
Good.
Like, completely.
Good. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting day here, and now, thankfully, that it seems like we have this video quality, knock on wood, actually somewhat decent. We should be able to catch all of the action. As we do see, Storm about to make its way through. 20 Sands is just basically where we would see Saints find themselves kind of stuck in a confrontation majority of the time throughout the season. But looks like it's going to be nice and quiet, and with everybody hopping into their own ride, they should be able to get a dodge into the safe zone just fine.
Dennis, I need you to confirm what I just witnessed. Ciri picked up a tire, threw it at a car, and all of a sudden it got shocks. Did I read that? Did I see that properly? Is that real?
I'm not 100% sure, but I will completely trust what you said.
My mind is just blown right now. I mean, it's a hell of a way to get out of the storm for sure. This is actually going to be some gunfire coming Ciri's way, but they are going to be able to drive on out. I believe that is going to be Juneyy riding on in the back as well. Boys all pulled up. Everyone's just getting ready. I mean, as these teams kind of approach the center of the storm, you know, you can start to see a little bit of a combat here. Nice little back and forth as the walls get built as the car is driving. That's
yes, your passenger can do that.
That's some impressive remodeling skills for sure. I'm trying to imagine what that would look like in real life. Just whipping bricks out of the side of your rear view.
Gosh, if only I could get my landlord to drive by and just whip up a roof real quick,
yeah,
I would be completely set for days, but unfortunately it is what it is.
No, I mean, yeah, it's definitely setting some unrealistic standards and expectations.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. You know, I'm regretting a little bit is watching this is that we only have the one player perspective, because I feel like it'd be really cool if there was a way. I know it's very difficult, of course, but if there was a way to see what all the other guys are up to, just see how everybody's approaching this game together. Because right now, like, St. Clair basically just kind of hiding out from the storm. So far, nobody's died in like the last 2 minutes, almost nearly a full storm cycle. Not a single body has dropped anywhere on the map.
Yeah, it's not at the point where everybody starts to get like super forced in post combat as of yet. One more time, however, it will be kind of on the verge where everybody's going to start trying to make predictions with where do they build their forts. We're probably going to see Ciri move on into this, and normally you'll see the Saints in the past try and get as centered into this safe zone as much as possible, then start building up a little fort to maybe trying to not camp out, but be able to hang tight for at least a little bit while the next set of storm comes in, and then you can kind of take some pot shots at people trying to run in who are caught on the outside. But it will all depend in the next couple of minutes what their next play will be, as the storm is just starting to move for the second time here in this first round. And still a little bit of time, it's a little slow, so lots of time here for St. Clair.
Absolutely. It's a 20-second meta in Fortnite. Is really what it is. Comes right down to the wire. But I like the way that this team is. I like the way this team is just like slowly approaching. Because it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a battle here. Tower building on kind of both sides here, but Ciri managing to find himself some good defensive utility on his side, fully shielded on everybody, all of the members of St. Clair already. But look at that build up as Laysixx just jumps right in there, going melee form against the enemy. Ciri doing what he can to kind of scope things out from the outside, but so far it's just a slow build, and you need to keep an eye out, because with so many players still remaining on the board, you never know if that flank's going to come out of nowhere and catch you off guard when you least expect it. There's definitely some good patience in the Saints.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen majority of the season, Laysixx, while maybe not necessarily the shot caller, he's always the one who's, if there's an entry fragger in Fortnite, that's basically Laysixx. He's always the first one diving in, going absolutely nuts, trying to find a nice quick pick, which has been mixed successes, to say the least. We've seen him absolutely nail it at times. Sometimes we see him just, unfortunately, just eat a shotgun blast to the face, and it's all for naught. But this time by, scares everybody aside, a little bit of extra shots, going through the window and actually tagging Ciri's shield at least a little bit, but not enough to really worry about, as we are now 30 seconds away from seeing where this next storm goes, and then we'll probably see the Saints start to fort up.
Yeah, it looks like the build has begun for the Saints with 60 players remaining, and the Eye of the Storm significantly smaller than it was when it started. It's only red on the horizon, really, for all the players still remaining in this.
And then we're going to see over the past season or so, whenever you see the players standing at the top with not a weapon in hand, but their constructor's manual, I refer to that as basically prairie dogging it, where they're all the way at the top and basically just on scout duty, basically. You can see through your own walls when you do have your constructor's manual out. You make it all the way up to the top, and it might as well be like having a little sniper hole, but while still having a wall in front of you. This is kind of what I'm talking about right here. You see, it's kind of peeking on through, able to see everything that's around him. And with the storm basically finished off, but you're kind of seeing Saints are in a good position here. A little bit just south of center for the sweet spot, but still good position nonetheless. See if they can find any stragglers. In fact, there's a few coming through the skies, it looks like.
Yeah, going in for those aerial opponents, however, they are going to be able to land relatively safely. Kind of just hanging on
camping out a little bit, just playing it nice and chill. But I have to say, I like this approach from St. Clair. It's definitely more of like, for me, when I first got into the game, like how I envisioned Fortnite looking. Just sitting there building your fort and having like these turf wars. It's definitely kind of matching that style of play, which I personally enjoy. I think it's really, it makes the game very dynamic, and you can actually see a couple members launching out of the sky as Ciri attempting to do as much damage as he can. However, they are at quite a distance, so it's a little bit difficult to get a nice clear shot on. And I believe they've managed to drift their way outside of the field of vision. And still that player count, that's what I'm keeping my eye on, that 60 player count left. As this next storm is about to close in just a minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah, this is the point now where it starts to get into chaos season. So as soon as the storm finally makes its way, that's when it's going to start getting a little bit uncomfortable. We'll see this side of the storm, the safe zone here, shrink in once again. And then all these players who have fortified already, whether they're either going to be sitting pretty if it's all good, otherwise they're going to be stuck on the outside looking in, and you have all these players in towers ready to open fire upon you if you try to make a move. That's when it gets scary, and we're seeing even already a few players falling. We do finally get ourselves into the 50s as 58 players are left. Storm's around the corner, and it's going to get nasty very shortly.
Kind of camping out, taking things nice and slow, as we've mentioned more than a couple times. You can actually see Ciri getting real tense as he investigates that map, waiting for those moments to strike. I kind of like this though, this little ground peak, setting himself up for a potential, flank opportunity from the bottom half of the building if he decides he does want to go in melee form. He's given himself a little bit of movement, of leeway options if their building does get collapsed on. But actually looking at that map zoom, like the map, it looks really small, but you have to think of the amount of space that's actually contained within that circle is still relatively wide. And there's enough space for teams to kind of preserve their own quarters. So maybe Laysixx goes on a little bit of a journey of his own to try to get things started off. But I think they're just going to be happy camping for a little bit.
Yeah, they won't have much time, however. It looks like the safe zone is going to move outside of where their fort is located. So unfortunately, Saints are going to blow a good handful of their building resources for a fort that they're going to have to abandon. And we're actually going to see Saints are not going to waste any time. They're going to just hop into the vehicles and try to make their move. As long as they don't get themselves stuck, they should be A-okay in this situation. Get themselves basically into the middle and trying to build themselves up a new fort, which is actually in a pretty good position as well, because we do see up on the mini map there were 3, but now there is 2 care packages, 2 supply crates, which oftentimes will drop not only a bunch of resources for building and whatnot, but can oftentimes get you a good weapon or 2. So it might be a little tempting. It's the cornucopia of sorts for you Hunger Games fans. But you got 2 of them, which is going to make things very tempting for these players running into the safe zone.
One of the things I find absolutely incredible about watching this game is just the APM that these players host. That's a nice little shot from Ciri, getting 23 damage on that shield from quite a distance. Looking to see if he can find a headshot from a distance, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Looks like they're going to start building already, so that's going to shut that play down.
But the actions per minute, really, on all of these players when they're speed building is just absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely. The individual APM and skill for each individual Fortnite player, I will give it solid comparisons to stuff like StarCraft in terms of difficulty and being able to perform it at a high level. And I don't give that credit out lightly. Honestly, just watching the players being able to do the building as quick as possible while trying to manage all of the action at once. That is absolutely insane multitasking, and I have mad respect for all these Fortnite players who are here competing today, especially since it's so small already with the way this storm is set up, and there's still 55 of them here. This is going to get nuts, and we have 2 more care packages coming in.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. However, the Saints seem to be in a pretty decent spot. As you mentioned, they're nice and centered. They have good eyes on everybody around them. They're able to kind of build and set themselves up for success there as Ciri carves himself out a nice little opening into that fight. However, with just the constant building and rebuilding, it's very difficult to actually land any body shots. But the storm, this is huge. Look at that storm placement damage. It's forced outside of their current base again. So they're going to have to get moving nice and quick.
And I was just about to say, too, if you not necessarily played Fortnite for a while, you would have missed the spot where the storm will actually go back into areas that it's covered now when it gets towards the late game. So you can't just sit in one spot and hope that your fort will take you into the late game. No matter what, you're going to have to move. Saints, in fact, also going to have to move. Find themselves the jump. There goes a nice quick pickup. And I woke up dead. Well, he's not necessarily woke up dead in this case. He's trying to crawl his way back to his teammates. Saints got the knock, but didn't quite finish him off, so no point. Sure enough, that is going to be the kill. Finished up. Saints find some more, but they have to worry about the storm too, because it's on the move. Multitasking is going to have to be absolutely huge here, as Ciri takes some shield damage.
Yeah, looks like the Saints already at 3 kills combined here in this early fighting, and now trying to get themselves repositioned. You can see they're just barreling towards that mark set up to get that rebuild going, as the storm just so very close right here. You can actually see kind of invading on an opposing fort as well. They are going to build themselves up a little bit of a shack as Ciri gets himself nice and tightly secured underneath the ground here, looking for a way maybe into this fight, but having to play things very, very slowly. It is going to be a good opportunity to kind of get refreshed on some shields before this next battle comes out, but St. Clair did a good job of getting themselves established in that last fight, and now we're down to the bottom 40 in this game number 1.
Getting really worried there for Laysixx for the briefest of moments. We do see the storm getting ready to move once again, because Laysixx was trailing behind, was not in the car with Ciri and Juneyy, so it was a little bit late here and lost all of his shield, but was able to keep the majority of his health. So still relatively healthy. And when one thing, taking a look here for Ciri, as we see actually hold that thought gun fires, and that's going to be the shotgun blast from, I believe, Juneyy to knock him down, and that's going to be Ciri cleaning that one up. So it was actually Laysixx who found the initial kill, and they're going to get themselves a double. So beautifully done here for the Saints, get more on the board.
It's very chaotic and hectic trying to figure out exactly what's happening here, as Ciri actually going rogue a little bit, going to move his way in and build very aggressively. As you mentioned, that storm is going to be moving deeper inside the already claimed sections of the map. Taking a little bit of gunfire on his way out of here, actually crossfire from both sides. He is able to get himself in contact, and that's going to be a takedown on Akron. Find himself another kill in this game. So far, the Saints at a combined kills of 6, I believe, in this round so far.
Of course, with Ciri being probably, arguably the best builder on the squad, just having him lead the way with these platforms time after time. I do hear the death noise. Was that Laysixx going down? I'm not 100% sure. Yes, it was, in fact. Did get knocked down. There's no chance that he's going to be able to keep himself alive. Saints are not going to be able to revive him. So 1 member down, but we still have 2 in the game. More and more eliminations coming here from Ciri and Juneyy. Just going to finish that one off nice and quickly. There we go. Any good loot? In fact, there very well might have been at least a little bit there. Gonna just spread the wealth as best as possible. But one thing that does concern me right now with at least the Saints combo, if Ciri is going to be the one who's meant for the late game, he has no healing. No more shields and no bandages, no med kits to try and heal the actual green health, which is going to be really brutal if they take any damage in these fights coming up.
Just a lot of chaotic building here as Juneyy and Ciri try to get themselves repositioned below some of the action. However, the ground floor beneath Ciri was getting damaged quite a little bit. He was going to drop down to the ground level and try to build his way back up, look for a way into this fight, but they're kind of just hiding out a little bit as the player count reduces now to 17 rather. Apparently that's going to be a nice little headshot from the shotgun there, and Ciri's going to find himself yet another takedown. 3 to 5, but another 1v1 here as the flank comes down, but I believe Juneyy was able to pick that one up. And St. Clair still hanging on in this game, down to 12 players remaining.
I mean, this is going to be a solid game number 1 here for Saints, no matter what, considering the amount of eliminations they've gotten.
Nice.
They're going to get another one, and sure enough, they do end up getting blasted in just a snap of the fingers, and they're gone. However, that we're going to see here in just a second how many points that was. 52 points, actually, to start off the night. Fantastic job here for the Saints in game number 1, getting themselves not only a solid placing, getting 6th place in the round, which of course is strong points in itself, but they've gotten themselves, what, at least 6, maybe 8 kills or so in that game? So it was an absolutely wonderful start there from them.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a very kind of slow and calculated approach, and as you mentioned, Ciri definitely has some very intense building strategies that he leads the team through, and they all follow through on that. It was a little unfortunate to see Juneyx getting taken out as early as he did in those final fights, I feel like the Saints would have had a much better chance of close combat if they were able to hold on to that third number. But unfortunately, that was not the case for game number 1. But still, as you mentioned, great score to start the series off tonight with.
Absolutely. Now, as we will normally end up doing here, because there's a little bit of time in between picking the next round and whatnot, hopping into matchmaking, we're going to throw ourselves to a very quick break to get all set up and just make sure that the video quality stays solid here. But we'll come back as we drop in for game number 2, and we'll get you the link that you can follow for Fortnite Tracker so you can keep track of the entire session's progress in just a moment. All right, after a solid game number 1, we're back at it once again here. Game number 2 just about to get underway after the Saints find themselves a 52-point game, or a 52-point game in game number 1 that puts them in 8th as of right now in this play versus session, with the top team currently, I believe, at 84. So they're, in theory, not too far behind, and keep this up. We already have some changes, actually, compared to what I usually see the Saints end up doing. They're in the same area, but we're doing a little bit of fishing.
Yeah, just kind of taking things a little slowly. I'm trying to look at the stat list right now, and not to jump in on anything,
What's
but
that?
it looks like we're actually in 21st right now. The stats have been updated.
Some more team shows that came in. Nice.
Yeah, there are a lot more teams with really significantly high scores so far in the tournament. So 21st right now, but I mean, still respectable. It's like the top 20% really of all the teams in today's event, which is a really good place to start things off. And as we mentioned, there were a couple unfortunate circumstances that led to the outcome of game number 1, and hopefully this team, they've got lots of time to shape up and fix up some of those decisions and maybe lead themselves to a stronger victory in game number 2.
It's always a nerve-wracking thing when you get into those late-game scenarios where it just becomes shotgun battles, and we know, like, you turn one corner and you walk into a guy with that pump-action shotgun ready to go. That thing does like 100+ damage if it hits you in the right spot, so it can easily just shut your game down. Unfortunately, there for Juneyy and Ciri, that was exactly the case. Is they not only ran into one, they ran into 2 players with shotguns ready to go. But with that, looks like nobody else is landing here with the Saints squad, so it should just be it's actually free to loot up and go.
Yeah, just like we said, nice and easy does it to get things started off. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm mentally just exhausted trying to process all of the chaos that occurs in this game. Really, it's crazy. It's so crazy. There's just so much happening at once.
Absolutely, especially like in those late game scenarios when it feels like the storm just doesn't stop moving, or if it stops, it's only for like the split second, and you have to stay in what feels like an eye of the storm that's maybe 3 people wide at most. Yet you're supposed to also traverse all these buildings and try to duel somebody. It's absolutely nuts, man. Like I was saying before, absolute mad respect for all Fortnite players, because this can definitely be an extremely tough game at a high level. Granted, of course, all of our varsity titles, so in one way or another, very hard at the top level. I know.
And that's what I was gonna say, right? Is that I'm sure there's so many people in chat right now that have tried watching one of our league streams and have been like, "What the heck am I looking at?" Like,
oh, absolutely.
It's totally chaotic with so many moving parts and pieces. And I think the thing that just impresses me so much about Fortnite specifically is that the game has not existed nearly as long as some of these other major titles. Nice little fight, however, to start things off, as Ciri actually getting collapsed on by an entire team, rapidly building himself up to the top. A couple floors below him are going to fall. He's going to take a little bit of damage here in this 1 versus 3 situation. He tries to build himself out to safety, and the rest of his teams come out. However, Ciri dropping quite low there, actually gets knocked down. His teammates are here for the comeback, but that's actually St. Clair going to get taken out very early in game number 2, placing 28th on as a team, and I believe
that's a 2-point game.
That one was pretty rough for the Saints. Not too much going on there for that game number 2. Out quite early in that one.
Hey, this is why we have 10 rounds here for play versus, because sometimes you will run into a round like that. Unfortunately, there for the Saints, it was well done from their opponents. Like, yes, they spotted the team out. Ciri is trying to kind of shoo him away a little bit, but all he had was that pistol. And sure, he dinged the one player for like 50 in his shield, but that's still nothing compared to trying to deal with 3 people. Laysixx and Juneyy were short to follow, but unfortunately, just like you said, they got completely collapsed upon, and it just ended up being the end of that round very quickly with only the 2 points being given based off of placement. So a very rough game number 2. But of course, we still have about, what, it's only 8:30. We still have plenty of Fortnite session left to go. Now, it's still only 2 out of a possible 10 rounds here. So Saints, plenty of time to get themselves back into this, but definitely stings the ego a little bit, to say the least.
Yeah, you never want to come off of a game as intense as game number 1 and find yourselves in this situation. But all in all, I mean, like you mentioned, 8 more games to go. The Saints have plenty of time to shape up and get ready for some better combat later.
Absolutely. Now, hopefully here matchmaking won't take very long. That last one wasn't too bad. So, again, just going to close the curtain for a second. I'm actually going to go snag myself a tea real fast so we can get all ready to go for the rest of the night. We'll be right back one more time. Just going to throw it to break. Now, this PlayVS season might be coming to a close very shortly. It does not mean, however, that we don't have other teams still competing. Of course, be sure to join us tomorrow for a PlayVS Rocket League doubleheader starting at 8 o'clock. 2 solid matches. Well, we still have 2 more weeks, I believe, of PlayVS Rocket League. Had themselves a bit of an odd week last week, but looking to get themselves back on top. Be sure to join us tomorrow at 8.
I love watching Rocket League on the stream, so I'm gonna be there.
Absolutely.
I'm
glad to have you.
Not to cause any disturbance, but while we're gonna set up here, I am hearing myself double a little bit.
But you can hear the game sound now, right?
Yeah. Casting Fortnite without game sound was a very sleepy time experience. I'm not gonna lie. It was very nap time inducing. But I'm looking forward to this one a lot more. Nice and sunny here out on the map as everyone's getting landed nice and easy. And it's actually going to be the exact same start as it was in game number 1. I guess, if it ain't broke, why fix it? And for the Saints, start things off nice and easy here on port side, picking up a number of chests already actually for Ciri's. Got himself some pretty decent artillery to start things off, as you mentioned, that bow and arrow. And looks like he's trying to see if there's anybody hiding out on these islands, but so far no signs of life.
Alright, so this way you won't hear double anymore. Stream, if you heard double Zeddy, let me know, and we will definitely fix that and whatnot as well.
That's right. Talk to us in 5-minute delay on Twitch chat. We love that. Very conducive for conversation.
It is what it is. We'll make do with what we have.
I've done it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I've done it. I'm just saying it sucks, but let's do it. It's great.
Yeah, I'll take this ever so slightly delayed delayed conversation compared to opponents always knowing exactly where we are on the maps at all times if somebody wants to take a nice quick
Very
peek.
true. Very, very, very true.
Okay, Laysixx gonna just jump scare us a little bit there for a
Yeah,
second. Coming
that
in
was,
hot with the
that was
Rocket League
spooky.
car.
That's absolutely spooky. I was waiting for things to get started, and I said, well, I guess vehicular manslaughter is one way to do it. Definitely not the best way, not the most efficient way to get your first takedown of the round, but maybe, I don't know, Laysixx kind of had some, really pulled that off nicely. I'd love to see him actually try to execute that in combat for him, but however, already, so Ciri had the right idea knowing that those opponents were hiding out in that island bunker, and now they're actually going to go for a little bit of a chase down here on that one isolated member. Ciri taking out about 80% of that shield as Laysixx goes in for the kill. However, the fast build approach, they've got the double angle on this, going high and low at the same time, just trying to round out this flank as Ciri builds his way right up on top and catches him out. And that is going to be the first kill of the game for St. Clair. They find the legendary bow, however, currently under fire, not able to pick that up. And I believe Laysixx has been downed as well.
Yeah, we're going to have to just kind of yeet him out of the side for now, try to keep him in a safe place to let the rest of the squad be able to revive him. However, the teammates of the downed member that Saints took care of are coming in for some revenge from the high ground. Ciri going to be down. Are they going to both be executed? Laysixx goes down. Ciri going to be right around the corner. Juneyy, where is Juneyy in this situation? Probably going to be short to follow. Still rather healthy, but he's got to go up against two if he wants to try and get the reboot cards from his teammates. But as we can see, looking like a bit rough. Is he going to try and still take this? Just kind of go for broke. See if you can make this battle happen. And then, worst comes to worst, just, I guess, reload into a new game. Looks like it's going to be the case. Going to try his damnedest, but this is definitely not looking too strong here for Juneyy.
Yeah, 1 versus 7 situation really for Juneyy. And that
and he
melee form, no way you're going to be able to win that one out. And that is going to be St. Clair dropping again. That was a really low point scoring round. I apologize, Danners. I keep moving around on you and it's messing up your cameras. That's
okay.
That's on me. I was just trying to find a good, comfortable spot to get ready for all this action. But as soon as I do that, then all of a sudden the team just getting taken out very early in these rounds. So I got to keep moving. Got to keep the energy up. Keep myself getting pumped.
Well, that's just extremely odd, though, because normally we don't see so many teams start to drop in that location. But that's one of the things with the map staying relatively static. Like, we did have the mid-season patch that threw things for a loop from having like sniper rifles and like more traditional weaponry to this more like, I don't know what you want to call it, more outdoorsy, more like crafting style of gameplay. But the one thing that didn't necessarily change was the way that spawn location kind of worked, with maybe the exception of a few NPC locations. So this strategy, like Saints used from the old patch into the new patch, and with the season being this long, you go back to the replays, it's like, hey, I see these guys in the end game pretty consistently. What are they doing? And it's very easy to then, like, kind of by osmosis, just try and do their strategy against them. And even with the slightest of modifications, like we had seen that team kind of go out into the island and then make their way in. Saints, like, somewhat close to that, and this is twice now in a row that they've been shot out, which is definitely scary.
Yeah, you can kind of like reverse engineer a victory strat when you see someone pull it off so many times. And I mean, this late in the season, you have to expect that your opponents have started to catch on to your tricks a little bit. That being said, I mean, Fortnite is definitely not one of those games where you go into it trying to counter strategy too much, because there's just so many people on the map at the same time and so many different things happening at once. You kind of have to play your own game, and I think that's why it's okay to see the Saints, sticking to what they're comfortable with and sticking to what they're good with. But if it's not working, something needs to get addressed. And so far, I mean, pretty low start here for the Saints compared to what we've heard and seen from them all season.
Absolutely, it's just definitely frustrating considering how well game number 1 started. With what we're kind of talking about counter-stratting and whatnot too, like, that's a nice thing about this Play vs. League, especially since the matchmaking is built right into the client itself too. Is sure, you could maybe try and do a counter strat on somebody, but who knows if they're actually even in your game, you know what I mean? Because, like, there's multiple sessions of this Play vs. Series happening at once. So you might find the same guys like over and over again. You might see them once and never see them again just because of the way this matchmaking system's going on. But let's see. I'm hoping for game number 4, something a little bit different. It's so weird seeing Saints burning through games this quickly. The fact that, like, on average in the past, Game 5 would probably be around that halfway mark for, like, a half hour ahead of schedule in regards to their games. So hopefully we'll start seeing some late game Saints coming back up moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I came to see some Fortnite, and so far I haven't seen too much yet. But plenty of games left to play. And as you mentioned tonight, it is a 3-hour block. Actually, Dennis, I believe we have an info sheet kind of spells out a little bit about the PlayVS League. Is that available? We can pull that up, and maybe for those of us that are less familiar with the form of the league.
With the actual format itself, absolutely. As we're getting ready to load on in, let's take a quick look. Of course, with this PlayVS session, you got, of course, from 8 o'clock to 11 to get as many matches in as you can, up to 10. Up to 99 players in one match, and then, of course, the scoring is based off of your finishing position, as well as how many eliminations you do get during the session. You can basically, you want to try and cap out at 10 kills, that way you get 20 points, and that's the maximum you can get off of eliminations alone in a game. So, unfortunately for players like you and I, Zeddy, we can't just land in and just hide the whole game and expect to place very high. As we do hop into game number 4, Ciri, Laysixx, Juneyy ready to hop on in, and it looks like if this is going to be what it's going to be, then we're going to be in for possibly another bloodbath.
Yeah, you can already see some of their opponents doing a very similar lead to what we saw in previous rounds, where Saints will kind of land on mainland and have to worry about not only opponents kind of deeper into mainland, but also people coming from the coastline. So already, a little bit of a nerve-wracking start for the Saints, but they are going to start themselves off with some nice bounties and quests. Ciri managing to find himself, I believe that's a dart gun.
Yeah, so we've got the harpoon there, which will allow you to grab items from afar. So it definitely comes into help a little bit later, and also lets you be Spider-Man if you want to launch that into a cliff or a building or something.
Harpoons are just big dart guns, right? That's basically their primary purpose. I love harpoons, honestly. I think they're such cool weapons. I have not a sad story about harpoons, but harpoons bring back some very nostalgic memories for me. You ever see the movie Free Willy?
Yes.
That movie made me cry my eyes out when I was a kid, because everyone was trying to hunt down Willy with all those harpooning fishermen.
Yep.
I love that orca. It's such a sad movie. So I really hope we get this harpoon. This harpoon is a harpoon of happiness for the Saints. I don't want to be sat caught crying on stream, thinking about dead orcas when I'm watching Fortnite gameplay. I'm tearing up a little bit thinking about it. That movie is so sad. It's just so painful.
And of course, now you got me thinking about the ocean, which is now giving me PTSD from the one time I was fishing on a dock when I was 7. And I had a water snake crawl up between the exit of the dock and me jumping off the water. I was either jumping off the water or going up against a snake. That was an absolutely terrifying day.
Yikes! That's spooky. That doesn't sound like a good situation to be in at all. My experiences with oceans and water have been mostly tame. I don't think I've ever encountered anything like that.
I tell you what, 7-year-old terrified me. Probably would have loved that fat harpoon, to say the least.
Yeah.
But
a nice little dart gun to take care of all the snaky boys on the dock.
But thankfully, it was a friendly snaky boy who just went away in the end. But still, it was absolutely terrifying. But anyway, back to the game itself here. Saints are going to be kind of forced, actually not necessarily forced to move. The Storm was actually in a solid position for them. So they're going to be able to freely just go after as many NPCs as possible. The action that we were expecting going into this match never ended up happening. The way the Saints kind of landed, instead of being split up and just trying to cover as much loot as possible, they stayed close, nice and defensive, and nobody is going to challenge them on that, at least not yet, not right now. So, it's looting season.
Yeah, you can take a look at that player count, already down to 62 start things out. So more than a third of the way through already, very early on in this game, actually dropping to 60 as I say that. And the Saints, still quite healthy and still haven't managed to find themselves anything super meaningful or impactful in this game. Pretty much, at least Ciri, at least obviously we only have that one player perspective, but kind of stuck with the Blues right now. Nothing too much more intense, but they are actually going to look for a little fight here in Sweaty Sands. I believe we saw some gunfire coming out through this fort, and Ciri's just charging in very headstrong with his team shortly behind. You can actually see players building over on the deep on the left side, and it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a fight here to start things off.
Yeah, Sweaty Sands seems to be kind of the converging point of a couple of common landing locations. There always seems, maybe like 1 in every 2 to 3 games, there always seems to be a battle here. So sure enough, with players on the horizon, Saints, they want to loot this as much as possible, but they're definitely going to have to be careful, because the opposition probably just to the north of them if they're not careful.
Oh, but it's a nice time to do a little bit of remodeling here. As Ciri breaking through the childhood bedroom, absolutely tore that down with no remorse. But at least it's going towards a greater cause. That cause being that victory royale. Saints can actually get themselves far enough into this game to consider that. I mean, they're doing a much better job than they did the last 2 games, so already, and the odds are kind of starting to stack in their favor as approaching center ground and trying to actually get themselves set up for this closing end of the storm.
I mean, it would be very sick if they were able to get themselves a fort this early, but at the same time, it would be very risky and heavy on resources. So I don't mind the fact that they're just going to completely bypass trying to build anything at the moment. Just loot up as much as possible, worry about that later. I'm going to skip that potion, pass it off to a partner in just a second. But relatively well-equipped Ciri, and I'm sure the rest of the Saints here locked and loaded, ready to go, as we're just going from place to place to place, just looting up everything. Far in the distance, though, possibly? Or is that Laysixx?
Yeah, I think it's just Laysixx. You can actually see the minimap there. Everyone kind of just grouping up as it is going to be Juneyy, kind of lagging slowly behind. This is a nice little view. Nice little autumn orchard.
Definitely a nice change of scenery for sure.
Yeah, very nice little scenic route down to the bloodbath and center map.
Pretty much fair enough. One thing I always keep forgetting to do is take a look at exactly how many players are in the game at the start. Because, yeah, we're down to 55 already, which seems like a ton, but I'm trying to think, did we start with the full 99, or did it start early?
That's a good question. I believe there was a full 99 in this game. I believe it's...
Because that's crazy if that's the case.
I mean, we'll have to double check, of course, as you mentioned, but this one was pretty high impact compared to some of the other ones. I remember just seeing that that death counter just ticking quite frequently.
Oh, and one of the beauties of actually being on stream delay is I get to go cheat and go peek real quick 5 minutes in the past, and there was like 85 at one point, so it may not necessarily have been a full lobby, but pretty dang close. So the fact that we're basically halfway through the field already is just showing how the play styles of everybody seems to be getting more and more aggressive or reckless, depending on how you want to call it, as these games go on. Because I'm assuming that everybody in this round here is probably in a very similar position to how the Saints were, where maybe they had a couple rounds not go their way. So now they're out for blood, and they're trying to really make it back, and some people are just not quite finding the profits of that.
At least for the Saints, you can't find enemies to shoot, at least you can shoot some NPCs and get yourself a little bit of value out of that, and flex that mechanical skill as Ciri whipping off shield down to his homies on the ground from high above, from mountains yonder. But one thing I do have to comment on is that, again, just from Ciri's perspective, because unfortunately we don't have access to the inventory of his teammates, still sitting on a lot of blue and a lot of green. Not too many strong, high-impact combat weapons in Ciri's possession at this moment, which could spell doom for the Saints if they do end up in an early combat before they've started to actually complete some of these bounties and build up that arsenal.
In theory, if he wanted to take that bow, he would have the trifecta of sorts that I would call like the standard, where you have one long-range weapon, one mid-range weapon, and then you'd have the shotgun for close range. But opting against the bow, and instead going to load up on fishies. In metas past, we've seen how valuable these little fishies can be. considering how much they heal, but also how quickly you eat them. So they can be very clutch in late game scenarios. You stack all the fish onto one teammate, and while everybody's dying in the storm, you just pop fish after fish after fish, and you can out-heal everybody in the storm. Definitely
That's
gives them that late game out.
I don't know what to say to that, Dennis. That's just ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You can throw fish at people to heal them?
Oh, we haven't seen a stinkfish yet today either, which is kind of funny as well.
No. Hold on. Whip a fish at you, and you'll feel better.
You whip the fish to them, they eat the fish, and fish is good. Yes.
That's high impact combat. That's crazy. I mean, I'm hoping I don't have to. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. If I'm going to be honest with you, I know you're saying you'd like to see some fancy text. I hope and pray we just see some good, clean combat. I don't have to see anybody getting fish slapped on stream tonight.
Oh, because I want to see somebody get stinkfished really badly here. Because we probably won't be from Ciri, considering he has that poisonous gas modified bow and arrow that will basically do the exact same thing as that fish. But yeah, long range, snipes, but also can force players out of an area, doing only health damage, not shield. A very valuable long range weapon, and with that pickup there for Ciri, he's got himself, like I was saying, the kind of the trifecta of the standard that you want. He's got that assault rifle for mid range, has that long range bow, and then of course has the shotgun for things up close. He is well suited for basically whatever the game throws at him.
Yeah, it's just about improving the quality of these weapons at this point. Like you've got all the right pieces. It's just about putting them together and really making them shine and making them sparkle. And unfortunately for Ciri, it's a little bit of a slow-going process. But thankfully, the Saints have quite a bit of time on their hands. As probably about 2 more cycles of the storm before things actually get really serious. I haven't had an opportunity to check the map in a while. But we can see now the storm shrinking in about over the next 2 minutes. The Saints, plenty of time on their hands to get themselves set up, but it looks like Ciri actually doing quite a bit of heavy remodeling here, looking for potentially maybe establishing himself and his team up on this beachfront.
Yeah, right on the shores of Sweaty Sands, considering there is no storm coming to contest them for at least a little bit longer. They can continue to have themselves in fine position, just basically getting points for free, considering all these other players just seem to be dropping like maybe 1 or 2 every minute or so, which still so many considering how early in the game it is. Down to 43 already, which is definitely staggering considering in game number 1 we were in like close quarters scenarios with maybe 66 players left.
Yeah, you can see that player count dropping quite low now as we're hitting that nearly that 40 player mark. So just about halfway through the player pool. Actually more than that so far at this point. And I mean, Ciri kind of off doing his own thing. You mentioned how the teams are starting to group up together, but Ciri just seems happy kind of scouting things out and just chilling by himself as his teammates hang up on that high ground and provide that little extra vision. The only danger, of course, being if that flank comes around, Ciri's kind of trapped himself up in here, and it's going to take him a little while to actually get himself into the battle. So a little bit of a dangerous situation for the Saints, but they're happy kind of just like free farming their way to a stronger settlement here.
Like, I do like this, especially if it depends on where this this next storm goes, because with the Saints so split up like this, but also having like 2 separate mini forts, you can then just kind of converge onto whichever fort after the fact just suits your strategy better. And we'll have to see in a moment. A little bit of a lag spike there for us. Sorry about that, but we're gonna see, and it looks like you might want to be in Ciri's camp actually, but we'll have to see. Maybe you will make the switch.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of time for teammates to kind of regroup and recuperate and get themselves established here. But as we saw previously, like even that tiny amount of space is plenty of space for 40-something players remaining. So until that death count, starts to drop lower and lower, the Saints, it's going to get dangerous. We can actually see another team starting to build in sightlines of Ciri. He's looking to do a little bit of damage as he whips out the bow and arrow. Going to try to get things started and get those smokes established, but his teammates still kind of hanging out on that high ground. Nobody's really willing to actually commit to this fight, so just a little bit of back and forth trading here for the Saints.
Yeah, so with the Saints kind of separated. Gonna make things a little bit awkward, but at the same time, if you're an opponent on the outside looking in, you assume that every building has 3 people in there. They're not going to just necessarily walk up onto Ciri, which is going to be a bonus for him. But he's going to try and make his way out of dodge, go through the wall and try to make his escape. Doesn't have to worry about the storm, just has to worry about these other players and hope he doesn't get open fired upon.
Regrouping with the boys, taking things, trying to get things grouped back up again, and maybe looking for an opportunity to rebuild in safer territory. It's always so sad when you spend all this time constructing and building a home together, and all of a sudden you just have to abandon it. It really says a lot. It's a very powerful story latent somewhere within. I'm not smart enough to dissect it myself, but I did just want to introduce the concept.
For sure, but at least with it being in Sweaty Sands, there are plenty of walls that just kind of continue to axe on down here. So whatever they're using, they can basically just replace pretty quickly. That being said, though...
Oh, I wasn't talking about resources or resource management. I was just talking about the emotional attachment. Spend all this time building this home and just gotta dip and see you later whenever you can.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I moved a lot when I was a kid. So
I was going to make a comment that
it's very triggering for me.
Going to make a comment. Did that hit close to home or something? Sure
very
enough.
triggering for me. Oh, jeez. But at least the new pad be looking pretty sick, as all fixed up with the concrete walls and roofing. As actually, I believe Ciri has a little bit of metal on his hands as well. It's not willing to commit some of that those valuable, those more durable resources until they're certain that this is where they want to set up shop once and for all. But nice little aerial view as well. As you mentioned, you can kind of see the nice little peaks of that tower peeking out behind, and I believe they're still in the storm for this new location. They just barely caught the tip of the new storm spawn.
Yeah, they might not be necessarily content with just having the outside, however. They're going to probably make their way towards center and just try to rebuild. Of course, we did see, while the screen allowed us anyway, there was about maybe 400 or so of each resource, with the exception of metal, I guess, in the pocket of Ciri, let alone the rest of the squad as well. So they should be able to rebuild themselves up yet another nice little fort here. And get in position to prairie dog and see if they can find themselves a sniper or two here with this bow and arrow.
I actually love that bow and arrows in the game now. It's probably one of my favorite aesthetics. I'm a huge fan of the hunter and ranger aesthetic. I was talking to one of my buddies who's been trying to get back into grinding League of Legends, and we developed the perfect League of Legends champion pool where you can play all 5 roles and only play characters with bow and arrows.
There you go.
Which is absolutely solid. However, I'm starting to talk about that now with Ciri actually managing to deal some damage here with that bow and arrow, dealing with 24 damage onto that player and taking quite a bit of shield as well, trying to poke through. His teammates are dropping down. They've got this nice little sight line here built through that window, and they're going to keep applying pressure onto that building. But we've got a little bit of a still frame here. A little bit difficult to see what's actually going on, but they are managing to find some nice little chomp shots here for the Saints. Nobody's down yet. Some nice little artillery going back and forth between these two teams as their opponents are frantically trying to rebuild and get themselves set up defensively.
And the worst thing you can do as an opponent is just let that wall fall for just a second, because if that arrow hits if it does hit a wall and then gas comes out, you can still hide in the back of your building and be safe. But if you let that arrow in, you've just trapped yourself in with the smoke, and that's going to do, I believe it's like 5 damage a tick. And I also real quickly want to give a big shout out to Velsmash for yet another month of subscribing to us. Thank you so much for your support. Always a pleasure having you on board, man. Thank you once again. He actually started putting the Fortnite song in the chat too. Oh dear.
Perfect. Somebody's got to do it, because if nobody did it, I was going to start singing it, and you definitely don't want to hear that. I've had a long day. My voice is not well trained. I drank like a ton of milk this morning, so I am just constantly coughing. Like, it's going to be an absolute mess when it happens. But it will happen, I promise you. You got me here for 3 hours. There's no way you leave without getting my personal rendition.
I was going to say, it's only 9 o'clock. We still got time.
You got tons of time, plenty of time. I actually just got myself a tea as well. I'm going to get that voice rested up.
Perfect.
for when that comes around.
In the meantime, those Saints still kind of battling out. A little bit of pokes and prods near these nearby fortresses. A little bit of gas damage, but not much to really be concerned about as of yet. We're still working on the video quality issues. Definitely do apologize for the fuzziness and whatnot, but trying to get that fixed for you. Is somebody underneath? I was thinking about it, but maybe looking for an escape hole, considering the storm is now on the move. Saints on the outside looking in. Can they find their entrance way through? Spots a couple players, good damage going down, but no takedown.
Yeah, just kind of a, again, slow approach, but Ciri actually going melee for him a little bit, starting to break into the enemy fort. See if he can get his way in there, as I believe that is going to be Juneyy following shortly behind as well, as they just hack and slash their way through these floors. Now starting to build up a little bit of their own defensive pathway, but actually for the first time in a while, the Saints making an aggressive move through the ground floor to try to get themselves better established inside of the storm.
Yeah, they definitely did not have much time left to sit around, so it's good to see them moving a little bit on the earlier side of things. Make their way over, even if it's from, like, basically just being on the ground. It's able to basically avert everybody's attention for the time being. A couple shots to, I believe that's Juneyy, just a little bit of shield damage onto him, but again, nothing to really be too concerned about as of yet, but it looks like you see we're going to be playing right along the edge of this storm, but still a tough spot to be in. Saints getting open fired upon, Ciri getting tagged up once again. 27 players left to go. Storm's getting small. It's chaos time.
You can actually see now Ciri looking for a way into the bottom as the floor breaks right above him, losing about 50% of his shield now in combat, taking a little bit of tag damage as well down onto his green health. The Saints all grouped up nice and tight, close together, however. They are going to kind of escort their way through as the building collapses around them. What an incredibly nerve-wracking situation, fighting as the walls and the floors and the ceilings and everything shattering above and below you. Saints aren't able to actually get their eyes on any opponents yet, but they are managing to do a little bit of structural damage here, and I believe Juneyy was actually able to make a takedown of the flopper, and that is going to be the first takedown of the game for the Saints squad, as they slowly start to reposition themselves here and get themselves back on that high ground and maybe look for an opportunity to actually fight head-to-head.
And so far, so good, and right now they've been able to just kind of keep playing along this storm as it keeps moving. Nobody really taking any green health damage, which is the main one you are going to be concerned about when it comes to the storm itself. See, slowly moving on in. It's going to be Laysixx actually leading the charge, building the floors in the sky, similar to what you were saying before. Actually going to take it to the ground, just start kind of tunneling it out here. And they're going to be able to make it to the next spot, but I think the storm's just going to basically move right away once again. Definitely hard to keep track of. You see some more players from above. Shots fired, no contact as of yet, though.
Ooh.
Gotta watch out for the smoke. Nearly finding its mark, but not quite getting him.
Yeah, it was a scary situation for Ciri as he actually peeked around that wall. I was a little nervous that we're going to find that headshot and maybe take down the rest of the shield, but still managing to keep himself safe in this one. However, the knockdown is going to come out.
Double.
It's going to be another kill. However, Ciri losing his entire shield and getting taken down fairly low. He is going to have some time to shield up, but he's now caught inside the storm. And the Saints really need to get themselves out of this dangerous situation here. They're in the top 10, however. Much better performance of the Saints this time around, as Ciri desperately trying to heal himself and shield himself through the storm, but it is ticking away at his health bar. He is managing to find himself in this, but he's on 5 health remaining, barely surviving. I don't believe he has any health potions left, and look at the way he has to crawl through the storm. And I believe that is going to be Ciri getting taken down here. However, we are able to keep eyes on Juneyy and Laysixx as they look for their way into this one. 7 players remaining, and that is going to be Ciri taken down to round things out.
Well, this is
Close. Members of the Saints remaining. This is going to be very, very close, but I believe that's going to be Laysixx taken down as well. And now with one remaining, the Saints managed to place second in game number 4. An incredible performance and a beautiful addition to the scoreboard. It's going to be 120 points, I believe, going the way of the Saints, if I read that correctly.
Yep.
So a massive swing in their favor compared to how games 2 and 3 went. This is definitely what the Saints needed to get themselves right back on track for this series.
All right, so when Saints can make it to the late game, they've been scoring themselves about 50 points or so per round, which is absolutely solid. And was unfortunately it was a little bit kind of blurry to try and catch all the action there, but it was nice there from Juneyy and Laysixx. Ciri did end up going down first. He kind of put himself in an awkward position because, of course, you want to use those fish at the end game when you're nice and safe, and then the storm all of a sudden is the only thing that you have to really deal with. But to have to use those as like an emergency situation, it's not very good in those situations. Tried his damnedest. He made it up with like 5 HP for a little bit, but unfortunately just one shot from above is all it took. And the Saints in general were kind of stuck on the ground. Meanwhile, the other team had the high ground, and it was just too hard to try and deal with. So no victory royale, but damn well close. A solid run as we are about to embark on the halfway point here in this session.
Plenty of game left to play. I think what we were noticing from this team is, when they're able to avoid these early combats, they do a much better job of placing higher on the scoreboard. And I think it shows that there's like a strategic advantage here from this team. They're able to they know what they want to do with the pace of the game, and as long as they're able to kind of play towards their pacing and give themselves time to actually build up their weapons, they're able to win out on those close corners gunfights. But when they get caught out in these open-ended situations where they're kind of exposed in the map or getting flanked or just not ready for those fights, the mechanic, like the gunfighting ability is just it's just not coming through. So I think knowing this, it'd be good to see the Saints, stick to what's working for them and push themselves even farther into this round or into this map, and see if they can get themselves some good finishing scores as well as we saw in this game, because it worked out game number 1, it worked out game number 4. Stick to it. If it works, stick to it, right? Keep it working.
Absolutely. Before we hop into game number 5, of course, we're going to be throwing it to a quick break. But before we do, I just want to give everybody a heads up as to some of the matches that we will have coming up in the next couple of days or in the next week as well. Because things may be slowing down, but we're not completely done, not just yet. Including a doubleheader of Rocket League PlayVS action tomorrow at 8 o'clock and 9:15 respectively. Then we get to show some Hearthstone, or show the Hearthstone team some love, as we have the Hearthstone Collegiate Championships up on Friday at 8. Sunday, as of right now, it says 7 o'clock. That time very well might change, but that's some NECC playoff Overwatch action that might actually even be on the NECC stream as well. If it is, be sure to tune into our stream anyway, though. We'll redirect you into the right place. Then Thursday, as of this moment, it's Fortnite again, but it's going to be Nace Duos. And then Friday, we return for some more Hearthstone action, but still, possibly even some more action that's not listed here in the schedule. So, of course, if you have not done so already, make sure you have us followed on Twitter and here on the Twitch channel. So make sure you get all of the live notifications as well as all the results after the fact and see what's new, especially with a bunch more new roster signings coming in the near future. It's always exciting to see what September is going to bring. With that real quick, we'll throw this to a break. We'll be back within 5 minutes for the bus drop for Game 5. And speaking of new roster signings, if you think you have what it takes to join us here on the St. Clair Saints varsity esports team, make sure you apply. stclairsaints.ca/join our website, and be sure to fill out the form. And if you have the right credentials, one of our coaches or our recruiter shall contact you via Discord. And the double stinger, why don't we? Hopping into what would be the halfway point here of our matches tonight. Game number 5 of a possible 10. And after getting that second late game there for the Saints, now they seem to kind of be on track. Halfway point, pretty much right at the halfway point of time as well. Currently 9:17, so plenty of time to still make something happen here.
Absolutely. I mean, however, nothing looking too different about this landing point for the Saints. They seem to really favor this beach house zone, and I mean, it has worked out for them. But 75% of the time, where they've actually landed in the zone, they're actually marking out already some of their opponents' landing spots, and it might be a little bit dangerous to the Saints as they get collapsed on here early. And no chest this time in the doghouse for Ciri as he goes. Usually finds himself breaking that every single time, but didn't actually manage to find anything. There is going to be a submachine gun you'll find, just a green one, however. Not going to be too valuable of a start, but there is quite a bit of shielding available for Ciri as he makes his way over back towards his team. He'll be able to get himself nice and ready before these first initial skirmishes break out.
Yeah, at least opening up the chest, sure, that green submachine gun might not necessarily be the best, but at least if you were jumped upon, you'd have something of at least solid value to try and fend off the attackers. But still rather quiet here for St. Clair once again. Gonna just be looting up as best as possible, and all shall be good, at least for this moment. Alright, Zeddy.
Yo.
If you were to add any character into Smash, who would it be?
Oh, geez. That was a random segue. I caught me off guard there. So this could have gone any number of ways. Any character into Smash Brothers at all? Yeah, I gotta think about it. My thing is that I just love Pokemon, right? And there's already so many Pokemon that are in Smash that I feel really lame about saying this. But I almost spent $80 on Pokken Tournament just because Decidueye was on the box cover. If I could get Decidueye in Smash, like, and I don't know, like he's just too badass. Like,
I feel like
they
he'd
know
fit so
that.
good, to be fair.
You would. There's so much you can do. Like Soul Shackle, nice little ranging. I'll keep him at range. Can use his feathers for all sorts of funky stuff too. Like, I don't know. I think it'd be sick. But it just feels lame, like just saying add another Pokemon onto the roster. To be fair, they keep adding like anime character after anime character over and over, so it's really hardly any different. But better than Minecraft Steve, let me tell you.
I mean, it's cool, but it's just not cool to play against, that's for sure.
Minecraft Steve is not cool. There is nothing cool about Minecraft. I'm sorry. You have a problem with me, you tell me, you let me know in chat. There is absolutely nothing cool about Minecraft Steve. Change my mind. My mind will not be changed on this. It's not even a character, Danners. Who is Minecraft Steve? He doesn't exist. He's a nameless, faceless entity. And they put him in one of the most iconic franchises of video game history.
Oh no, what did I start? Well, I mean, personally, anyway, I have two options. I have my normie option, and then I have my weeb option. So I'll give both. I'll start with the weeb one. First, I am a huge fan of Ruby. I would love to see Ruby Rose get added, because we've seen it in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. I would love to see it in Smash as well. But that is still, I mean, we have Sword character, so why not have a Scythe character? You know what I mean?
I don't know anything about this character. You're going to have to explain to us a little bit about this.
We'll see about later on. I'll go to my normal option for now.
Okay.
For my normal option, what I would try to do is, because they kind of keep teasing that Tekken would get some sort of involvement in Smash, but instead it's only been like Mii costumes. I would love to see Well, I mean, the default option would be going with Jin, but personally, I would love to see King, the grappler with the cheetah costume on it. Would be a sick pickup in my opinion, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not super familiar with Tekken. I kind of got into the fighting games a little later than others might have, and my hands were never good enough to play, so I always got zoned off those types of games. But I mean, I've played a little bit of Street Fighter. I've seen a little bit of Skullgirls. You already know I'm king of Shrek Super Slam, so I'm all in it. But yeah, no, I'll definitely have to check those characters out later.
Yeah, it's low-key been, like, FGC in general has been one of my longest, most wanted things for collegiate. I know the Street Fighter scene kind of started with it. I think Tekken's going to be short to follow, but it's definitely a work in progress, to say the least. After playing so much Smash, I eventually started playing traditional fighters or anime fighters, and it's definitely up there for one of my favorites. But again, all of my favorites don't actually get collegiate support, so RIP.
I love how aggressive the NPCs in Fortnite are. Every time he goes up to that one guy, he's like, "You're lucky I'm off duty."
Yeah.
God, I have so many, like, I don't know, I'm so many different contexts and situations where that voice line would just be so appropriate.
He's going to have to move, however, about another minute or two or so before the storm does collapse in on them, and at least they have a vehicle to traverse this distance nice and quickly.
I just love how I'm talking about stupid crap and you're trying to keep the pace of the game going.
I'm just tuning in, keeping track here and
doing
there.
your darndest to see what's happening. I'm going to be honest, the feed's a little blurry right now, so it's hard to keep track of that player count, but I mean, these starts, like, I think, to be fair, if the start of the game is quiet, it means the Saints are doing well. It seems like every time they get into these early skirmishes, it just never goes their way, but when they have a nice, chill, relaxing, like, first 10 minutes of setup, that being said, some gunfire going to be chasing after this car here as Ciri and Laysixx are going to try to do their best to get their way out of there, get themselves out of there.
You're going to bob and weave, and I mean, you're pretty well safe when you're in the cars. I mean, we've seen it a few times today where, like, you could still get shot through the window and lose health. I mean, we've seen, I think it was last week, we've seen Ciri hit a really sick shot with an assault rifle twice, actually, onto people in cars and actually knock them down out of the car, making them fall out and being a sitting duck. But that's still such a hard shot to hit, and if you don't actually go through the window, then you just, okay, you do some damage to the car's armor, whoop-de-doo. Like, no big deal, right? But with the Saint on the high ground, keeping an eye on a couple of players, you'll probably see a small skirmish in just a second. Using the bush, classic Fortnite style. Remember when you could actually just pick up a bush and become a bush?
Yeah, of course. Classic.
Classic Fortnite.
Absolutely. I do that, I just do that as the way I play. I stand completely still. I hide myself in some shrubbery, and I refuse to play the video game until the storm closes in on me. I have to say, I was pretty damn good at it too, Daniel. Like I was placing like top 10, top 15 on my solos. Didn't have a single kill for like the first 30 games I played, but I mean, it is what it is.
It's all about getting the last kill. That's all that really matters in the end. But we'll have to see, of course, in this competitive environment, that is not necessarily a very wise strategy to go for. However, with the quiet style that's been happening here for the Saints so far, we might have to just kind of suck it up and wait for the late game, because we're about halfway through, I would like to say halfway through the population of this game, but unfortunately the feed is kind of butchering on us. It's not just you, it is us too. So definitely do apologize for that one. We hear some gunfire in the distance, but nothing to, I guess, be worried about right now here for the Saints.
I have to say one thing I find incredibly fascinating about I guess strategy in Fortnite versus strategy in other battle royales, because I was getting really into Spellbreak in the beta. I didn't get to play in the alpha, but I did get to try a little bit of Spellbreak in the beta and leading into Chapter 1. And I thought Spellbreak was really cool, because I've always loved like spellcasting games, and especially since it released with party mode and stuff, so you could play. Nice little shot from Ciri though on tagging out some of the members of an opposing team, building far off into the distance. But I guess one of the things that I did actually miss, surprisingly, about Fortnite when I was playing Spellbreak was, just the pure lack of terrain. that could be like kind of modified or mixed up. Like you kind of just get your map and you're just stuck with dealing with whatever's there, which I guess is kind of the curse for PUBG and Cold War and all these other battle royales as well. But it's definitely something I missed. I just always find the building in Fortnite to be very chaotic. And as you can see, this early little fight coming out is Ciri rapidly spam building his way up into that zone, trying to get himself a little bit closer so he can actually deal some damage, and harvesting trees on his way in as well. It's an awkward building path, but he is able to get himself, and now smacking away at the hamburger as well. Just a lot of built-up rage, obviously. Take it all out on Hamburger Bob.
Nothing is safe apparently here in this area. Trying to see what it says. The Weeping what? What is this? Weeping Woods, maybe? We know that's Fortnite.
That sounds right.
Fortnite loves their alliteration, and I'm just gonna say battle happening. Never mind, that's just a wolf. Gonna pick up those bone chips. Need those for bow and arrows later on in the game to make those either the mortar styled or the poisonous gas bows.
So talk to me a little bit about this crafting mechanic, because I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about it. How does crafting work in these mid-games? Because I don't think we've seen too much of it happening.
Yeah, it's been actually really quiet here for Ciri. I know when it was first introduced, he was using it a lot, but not so much nowadays. But basically, when you're picking up a gun off the ground, you'll notice it'll either say primal or it'll say something else. I'm trying to remember what the other one is. I want to say tactical. I think if it's a tactical gun, it does less damage and less accuracy off the start. Then you can craft it, which I'll explain again where you get those things in a moment. And then it'll eventually become better than the primal version. Then the primal, without crafting, it's better, but it does get outclassed by crafted guns. But in regards to the crafting mechanic itself, so it was something that was just added into this latest patch where, like, based off of things that you find in the wilds, you can upgrade certain weapons. So you'll oftentimes see the Saints like blow out tires on random cars they're not using, or trying to just hack and slash at it. It's because they're looking for little gears, or looking for these little steel parts that you can use to upgrade your guns, or taking down some wildlife to get bone chips so that you can upgrade a bow. Like, it's all there. It's all an interesting mix of gathering strategy and kind of just like customizing your loadout as much as you possibly can.
Can you craft anywhere on the map, or do you have to be in specific locations?
You can be anywhere.
Interesting. This is a lot of flexibility you can pull off with that.
Absolutely. You'll see some playstyle differentials come out from the players as well. Like, I know from the past, looking at, say, Laysixx and Juneyy, they've been a little bit more favored towards assault rifles and submachine guns. Meanwhile, like, Ciri has been a little bit more like either long range or close range. But at the end of the day, all a well-rounded team. And a little bit of back.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it a lot with all of these FPS titles that, like, we always talk about top fragger, bottom fragger. But honestly, like, at the end of the day, like, you're a team and everyone provides value in their own ways. And as you mentioned, Ciri is, you know, a very, very strategic player, but may not find himself at the top of the kill board every time. However, not a lot of time to talk about that now. Is a little bit of time freaking out. We actually see Ciri getting tagged down, losing about 20% of his shield here. So it is a little blurry, but we'll do our best to kind of keep up with what's happening and provide that clarity for you, where our video quality cannot, as we enter into this team fight here. But the Saints so far taking things very slowly, really quick building their way properly as they're taking down and building up at the same time, making sure that at no moment are their sightlines ever disrupted. That's going to be the first knockdown for the Saints in this team fight. There are about 2 members remaining, 114 damage on that shield, and Ciri with the shotgun going to find that kill, and that's going to be the takedown as well. Still some members in this combat as Ciri starting to take some slow burn damage with another elimination going this way. And now the Saints winning out heavy on these team fights. However, Ciri losing about half of his green health already in that fight. He's going to have to heal up a little bit. Munching away on... Are those fish? Is he just munching on fish right now?
Oh, yeah, the cabbage. So, basically like a speedy bandage that you can just quickly take, but basically get the exact same amount of health.
Why not? Just chew a cabbage. Absolutely. Get those leafy greens into your system.
And of course, the meat will do this a very similar thing. That's another thing that you can pick up off of certain wildlife as well, if you do end up battling it out in the wild.
Yeah, nothing makes your intestines feel better than just cabbage, raw fish, and raw meat. Nothing better for your health.
My stomach is turning already. Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah.
And peppers.
And chili peppers. Oh yeah, why not? Wash it down. You know, if it's gonna come in raw, I better go out the same way. That's the way I look at it, dude. I'm sorry. Someone had to say it.
Why do I have sympathy pains for this? Like, what the hell? Oh god, that sounds like an absolute disaster. But one thing that isn't problematic here for the Saints is their positioning. Dead center of this storm, nicely fortified as well, and even with the new storm location, still on the inside. So technically, they don't have to move.
Yeah, no, I mean, right now the Saints are in a very good spot. They've survived, I believe, is that 40 people remaining still in such a tight circle? I think we got a glimpse of it. The camera, the screen's kind of debating us with these, with this quality a little bit. We got a nice little, quick little view, but quickly closed back up again. That being said, that last team fight went very well for the Saints, losing no members and able to.
Oh, hello.
And as I say that, Laysixx getting immediately taken down. However, Ciri is going to go for the revive as Juneyy holds that ground and tries to figure out where on earth these gunshots are coming from. Laysixx is going to have more than enough regen to get himself back up and ready to go. Just needs to bandage himself up first and get ready for combat. Now Ciri going out on the hunt.
That player just went for broke. I think he might have been like the last member of a team or something and just tried to go out with a bang. And to be fair, nearly caught Laysixx off guard. Had he been alone, could have probably finished him off nice and quick. However, with Ciri and Juneyy both in striking distance, that plan got shut down nice and quick.
So, as far as play versus scores go, did you get anything for taking people, like knocking down people, or only for eliminations?
I believe it is only the elimination itself that counts.
Dang, that's unlucky.
That's why you got to make sure you finish off your kills. If somebody steals your kill, I do believe a point still goes into their favor. Or a point or two.
Ciri doing a little bit of remodeling, trying to get some decent vision for his team, and as you mentioned, out on the hunt with the blueprints equipped to kind of cheat through these walls a little bit and see if it can get himself a little bit more intel. Actually on a high ground point for once, the first time. The Saints usually playing from the low ground, but actually going from the high ground. They've managed to find a member inside this building. They're furiously shooting through the walls as the floor is being rebuilt below them as they engage in this combat. This three-man firing down onto the building, the rapid fire build. They were completely exhausting the defensive utility on the sides of their opponent, and that should be the building falling. As you can see, nearly exhausted all of the build resources on their opponent's side, and that's going to be Laysixx diving forward, trying to get a little bit of damage, but they're just too nervous to actually drop and break into this. They should be able to get the elimination, however, and ammunition beats out on crafting resources, and that is going to be the Saints getting yet another elimination here in game number 5.
One cheeky thing I would have loved to see from the opponent is you have the river literally right behind you where your building was. Imagine if you just kind of jumped off and tried to go with the current. Use that as an escape tool for a last-ditch effort, but at the same time, probably still would have been a sitting duck. Probably would have went down anyway. Would have been an epic finish.
Ciri had eyes on it. That's the only thing that kind of discouraging. That you could actually see him checking the river. I think he was calling out that exact play because you could see him kind of glancing off every now and again to take a look at the river. But now some more gunfire here up in the top side as the Saints now on the receiving end of a play that they just delivered to their opponents. Is they're getting their entire fort destroyed in front of their very eyes. They're going to have to reposition here. Some epic weapons available, but Saints not willing to pick that up. I believe that's a rocket launcher. It's a little bit dangerous to use in these close quarter combats. So now the Saints just trying to get vision on their opponents.
And the rocket launchers have definitely changed from when, say, you and I first started playing this game. There's no, like, having 10 shots of a rocket launcher. No, most of those rocket launchers nowadays only have the one. As we do seem to find one, going to pick up our opponent and just yeet them across. One more time, why don't we? Finishing them off. Going to just pick up the resources, say thank you, and I'm going to move on to the next one.
Wait. Did he just pick him up and throw him?
You can yeet your teammates and your opponents when they're knocked down, yes.
Oh my god. Just whip him off the edge. Spartan kick.
Essentially, we've seen that happen a couple of times, but at the same time, don't I throw them off the cliff? Because then you probably want the loot that they have, and you have to go kind of chase it. Have seen it used to save teammates pretty consistently, though.
Interesting dynamic for sure. However, the Saints now a nice takedown as they actually break the staircase. That's going to drop them. I don't believe the knockdown came through, but significant amount of damage did, however. And now the Saints find themselves in a very tricky situation as they're built quite high up above the ground and don't have vision of the low ground below. That being said, all members of the Saints looking quite healthy and fully shielded up relatively as they look to maybe get themselves back into this team fight. But it is going to be very slow. Currently no vision on their opponents, just general understandings or inklings of where they might be. But that storm is only getting smaller. In fact, the next reposition is going to be very far away. They're going to have to charge through the storm a little bit to get into it.
Camp through the storm and through all of the forts that the opponents have already made, and they're not going to have Juneyy for it either, as he does seem to fall on the other side of these walls. With the Saints kind of separated too, this does make me nervous that they're going to get picked off individually. See, throwing a pepper, but I was wondering what that was going to actually entail. For a second there, I thought that was a gas canister. Not going to be the case at all. But charging on through, trying to use other people's forts, and to be fair, they've made it pretty well all the way into the safe zone. But can they keep themselves safe in the process? Lots of fire coming through, but I think they might have just diverted enough attention to get themselves nice and safe.
Yeah, it was a really incredible run from Ciri and Laysixx to actually escape the storm without taking any points of damage. And now, again, some just more artillery on these quick builds as their opponents try to build in their face. Ciri getting zoned off here, kind of trapped into this corner here as Laysixx on the outside. And he actually is going to go in deep melee form and keep building his way across, trying to get below, but he's back in the storm. Very nerve-wracking situation. Laysixx side by side again. They're going to look for some on-hit damage and try to get up nice and close, but Ciri is going to drop here. And it's just Laysixx left. The Ciri's going to get taken out. And now with 22 players still remaining, look at the size of that storm. Laysixx is still alive, but it is just him. He's the last man standing, the only player remaining, and it's going to be very difficult for him to grab Ciri's reboot card in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely, basically impossible in this spot. At this moment, just want to kind of lay low. Let everybody else fight around. Try and gain as many extra positions as possible, and only fight back if you need to. Right now, Saints sitting with 5 eliminations total, so looking good. And to be fair, Laysixx nearly found himself another. However, really giving his position away as he battles. It's not necessarily a good spot to be in. Finds the one player, sends him into the storm. Chases him down. Good damage, good knock, good kill. Secured for number 6. Able to squeak out a little bit of shields as well. And in theory, maybe pick up the med kit. I don't know, though. That's a lot of resources going down, to say the least.
Yeah, this is a dangerous situation for Laysixx. He's caught inside the storm, and they're build trapping him inside the building, but he is going to manage to break through and get the shotgun hit. However, he's going to get collapsed behind, and the Saints finishing off 4th here in game number 5. 178 points that time around. Just a very strong and solid performance from this team in these last couple games. Definitely some big improvements from what we saw in games 2 and 3. It's three so far really high finishing games, and just an excellent performance overall for the Saints.
Yeah, 3 out of the 5 have been good, which is definitely a good start nonetheless. Gonna quickly take a look at our Fortnite tracker, see where does this stick us as of this moment. I'm gonna have to scroll down a little bit, or I'm just gonna have to find a way. Let's see here. So okay, okay, it still says the old one at 129. But if we had, what was it, 160 something, 170 something?
Yeah, 174, I believe.
That would put us in the top, just outside the top 10, like at 11th as of this moment. But the other thing to note is a lot of these other teams that are sitting up here, some of them have only finished 3 or 4 games, and we finished 5. So there's still the possibility that those teams have a couple of quicker rounds and get some more points in and can keep charging ahead here. That being said, out of the hundreds of teams, I believe it's like 200 and something teams that are participating here in this PlayVS Collegiate series, the fact that we're even like him and hawing about a top 20 just goes to show how much, not necessarily that we expect of our team, but that we know they're that good. That's I guess that's a little bit of expectation now I think about it, but still a solid run so far nonetheless.
Expectations that they've set for us based off of their previous performance.
Well,
we expect them to play well because we've seen them play well.
And we know like talking to Ciri and whatnot too, like during meetings or just when setting up streams and whatnot. It's like, oh yeah, I finished 50th yesterday. I suck, man. It's like you can tell he just absolutely expects the world for himself. I said, oh, fifth out of how many? Like 300 solo players? You're saying you suck? And oh god, I'm absolutely trash or something like that. Like he just expects the absolute world out of himself. Which I mean, he's always pushed himself to the next level, and there's a reason why he's captain leading one of the top squads across North America. Am I right? With Laysixx and Juneyy as well doing absolutely fantastic, and then King as well. I mean, we don't have him here for triples, but in regards to doubles and solos, he's still an absolute unit in his own right. So big props to the whole team so far. But before we throw it to the break, anything in regards to that last round?
No, let's just keep it going. Lots of gameplay to get to. Won't burn ourselves out too much. Let's cut to a quick break, and we'll be back with game number 6 in just a moment.
Alright, so this is what, game number 6 now? I believe.
Yes, sir.
I am losing track here as we go on throughout this evening, but this means there's so much like back-to-back action that I cannot keep myself up to date, apparently. But this time by, 90 players enter the arena of sorts. I'm not exactly sure. I enter the island, I guess. And we're going to be sticking to the same old schedule, same plan to start things off, and it looks like it's a nice, quiet start here for Saints as there's nobody else around them.
Loving that spiderweb umbrella that Ciri's rocking. It's actually kind of sick.
It's a quick, nice one.
Yeah, we got that Mary Poppins swag too as it spins around as he's floating down.
That was always something funny, the fact that essentially even when we first started playing Fortnite, the flying umbrellas or whatever was basically like a frame 1 ad. It was always a thing, pretty much. Especially with this one being a spinner is quite nice.
Definitely some interesting cosmetics added to the game, and everybody's got the drip down steady for today's game, of course. You know, these players, they spend so much time into this game. You know, you can't get caught lacking on the map. You got to look fresh. You got to keep yourself fully equipped for these games. It's very, very important to your survival out here on the map.
I'm still that guy rocking the old school, like, dinosaur costume. Just so
Oh,
weird.
I'm default skin. Like, that's it. That's it. I rock the default every time.
Default or die, eh?
Default or die. I mean, Faker doesn't use skins, and he's the best League of Legends player in the world. So, I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
All right, I see you. I know the less we worry about cosmetics, the more we worry about our actual gameplay. Probably the better, right?
I mean, yeah, that's that. Well, let's go with that. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm just too focused on being a kick-ass Fortnite player that I can't spend any time staring at my cosmetics. How are the Saints here now, getting control of this tanker here? Is they're gonna burst right through that, blow that thing to smithereens.
Yep, full shields for everybody.
And bounty poached. It looks like they claimed a bounty that was unfortunately taken away from them. So the Saints are gonna have to find some other ways to get themselves their inventories jacked up a little bit before they look for these early fights. Storm's a bit of a ways out. You can see slowly making their way towards it. I believe they're going to make a quick stop at Holly Hedges, however. See if they can do a little bit of resource farming while they're in the city.
Oh, they might not be alone, however, and looks like Ciri is well aware and might be looking to do a little bit of headhunting, possibly going to the rooftops to chase one of these players down. Kind of see him in the distance building off. You could be in for a quick one or a very quick lead of sorts here for Saints if they can turn this one around. Their early engagement percents has not been very strong so far, however. This is going to get scary.
Yeah, Ciri doing a little bit of entering a little bit of a battle here against his opponent who's managed to build up, but he is going to be able to kind of hijack and make his way into the enemy fort. Actually catching the runaway on the ground. That's going to be a knockdown for Ciri. However, without knowing where the rest of the team is, it is a little bit dangerous to overcommit into this building here. He is going to go for the kill, however. And there's the pickup, the card steal. And that should give them enough information to close this fight out. There's going to be a kill number 1 going the way of the Saints and finally getting themselves on the board very early in this round. However, this fight's just not done yet as their opponents continue to fight through this fort. So much building going on either side. It's very difficult to kind of get a grasp here, but that's going to be the melee range fight for Ciri. He's going to have to build defensively as he doesn't have a weapon that's strong enough to take this 1v1, and his teammates are going to be able to clean that up and get a nice little loot here. And I think the Saints actually finding a second kill in this round.
Well, I mean, we see them get themselves a very solid first initial engagement, and I guess they're going to celebrate with a little bit of dancing on top of that, too. Ciri, of course.
I didn't even catch that. I did not even catch that. Oh my god.
Is telling the squad to go hold that L, so to speak, but the celebratory dance was definitely well warranted. And the Saints, of course, getting themselves 2 points on the board. And not only, like I was saying, Ciri kind of just dove in there, like, very all in. He wanted that kill. But thankfully for him, none of the other teammates were really nearby until it was too little too late. He was able to steal the card, get the elimination. And then sure, he kind of face tanked a bunch of damage, but that's why you have your other teammates. The numbers advantage is too strong, and it gives Saints a nice little point bonus going into this early game.
So what does stealing the card actually do for you, aside, like, if you're just going to take them out anyways, why does it matter if you got the card?
Okay, chat can tell me if I'm wrong, but what I do believe is that that is stealing their reboot card, so you cannot go to the van and summon them back into the game.
Right.
I
but
believe that's it.
That sounds correct, but if you just kill them anyway, right? Oh no! Because not only do you get knocked down and picked up, but you can also get rebooted. Right.
Yeah,
That's crazy. There's 2 pickup mechanics in this game. That's crazy.
They've definitely kind of taken inspiration from other Battle Royale titles and slowly but surely kind of implemented them into the game, whether it be crafting or rebooting of sorts, but doing it in their own way of sorts to keep things nice and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to see games kind of evolving and expanding and growing off of each other. And, you know, Fortnite wasn't the first Battle Royale, but it definitely was one of the most explosive, arguably the most explosive. of the genre. So to see it kind of learning from other games as well is, it's a cool thing to see how these games kind of push each other to stay more competitive and introduce new and exciting mechanics.
Absolutely. I mean, Fortnite's always been a nightmare for me personally because it means there's too much I have to try and relearn.
Yeah.
But with them having patches pretty much every week, if not like every couple weeks or so, change up little things here and there, whether it be just balance or straight up throwing a brand new map in the middle of the collegiate season, Fortnite is definitely all about adaptation and
Now,
definitely makes things interesting.
can I just say, as much as I trust Ciri as a combat tactician, building strategist, and team leader, I would not trust myself in a car with him at all. His driving skills are horrendous. I've seen him take out like 6 rows of hedges, nearly barreling through the front door of like 3 different buildings. It's definitely nerve-wracking.
As I've been watching them through the season, I've been trying to figure out who's the worst driver between Laysixx and Ciri. They both have their their opportunities of what's the opposite of glory? Glorious driving, but
Something bad.
yeah.
Something very, very bad. Anyways, I believe that there's a golden pistol now in the inventory of Ciri. Not a pistol, actually. That
Ooh,
is
the
going
golden
to
scar.
be the golden scar. So that's a pretty nice combat weapon to pick yourself up before getting into that mid-game stage, as the teams are slowly starting to get themselves closer and closer to the storm and maybe start considering those initial build points. You can see all stopping for some resources and making sure they're all fully equipped before they make it downtown, walking fast. They're getting closer to the inside of the storm, as the storm is closing now in 20 seconds, but it will close again within the next 2 minutes as that next cycle approaches. These cycles, as they start to build up and continue, the pace of the game, as we've seen, constantly accelerating. So taking this necessary time to prepare is very important for these teams.
Oh god. Someone had to do it, but anyway. Oh god, don't do it. Okay, he nearly lost that taxi, but instead of worrying about your safety and the structural integrity of this bridge, we're just gonna farm it for steel, apparently. And to be fair, plenty of it to go around, so a good little spot for the Saints to load up right before the storm gets ready to make its move. Actually, a little bit more time than I expected. 1:30 to still try and get themselves into the safe zone, load up on a bunch of resources. They'll be sitting pretty going into this next game.
Yeah, they just got into the storm now, and it's the new cycle that just opened up, but it is going to push them pretty far away into that next zone. Not sure what we're looking at exactly here.
The car just went boom.
That's lucky. It's a little dangerous. Well, you can see there's a giant glowing purple beam of light off into the distance that Ciri was just looking at a second ago. Do you mind walking me through, Daniels, what exactly we're looking at there?
I'm guessing that one there, that might have been a call out from Juneyy, considering, like, I'm looking up in the top left. Yeah, that's a call out marker there from Juneyy saying, hey, we gotta probably take this spot, that's center, let's just go to it. They're gonna probably just beeline it right there and then instantly build a fort. But the thing is they're probably gonna get open fired upon anybody who's already set with their own fort. So get the area marked down and just head down, just get there as quick as possible. Absolutely. There was a ramp on the just to your left.
I know, I'm looking at this. Oh, Ciri, my dude. No, he's gotta off-road it. It's gotta look sick doing it. They're gonna go careening down the hill now as they propel that momentum and actually bounce themselves through the river. Some interesting transportation methods, to say the least. And they are gonna stop for some gas and maybe pick up a burger on the way.
Sounds absolutely fantastic right here, right now. I know apparently you and I both kind of neglected supper prior to this broadcast, and now definitely paying the price of sorts.
I was blessed. I received food before this stream, so I'm chilling and I'm surviving. But definitely can't go wrong with a late night gas station burger. I mean, I know that's probably the worst sentence I've ever said in my life. Can't go wrong with a gas station burger. I mean, sometimes these things happen. I know one of my greatest memories from my childhood is going on road trips and stopping at en routes and convincing my parents, begging them to take me to Burger King, because why the hell else would you ever go to Burger King? So it's a good time.
Where the college and university classic, where you're cramming in as much as possible, so you just fill your stomach with coffee just to convince yourself that you're not hungry, or just go to the Tim Hortons in this case if you're here for St. Clair. For the university side of things, just cross the street, go to the 7-Eleven, snag a hot dog, and just keep on trucking. God knows what's in this.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, definitely not a big fan of the college lunchroom hot dogs and burgers. I've tried them, the cafeteria food, and it's exactly as it is described. No better, I promise you.
I mean,
but keep on trucking, indeed. I think it's a good metaphor. They're pretty bad, but I mean, regardless, I think keep on trucking is a good metaphor for kind of what we're looking at with tonight's adventures. Is this team, they have all these long drawn out battles, and we're here and we're talking about how we're getting hungry or getting tired on stream, but you have to imagine, like, these players are not just here for such long periods of time, but they're heavily invested in them, and the mental exhaustion as well, aside from just like the sheer commitment of time and energy. It can get taxing. So big ups to the players for holding their ground so far and being able to perform as well as they have. And actually, eyes on a player here out in farm country, but I believe they're just going to charge on through. It looks like Ciri doesn't want to engage this fight, and those terrible driving skills are starting to actually affect the outcome of these combats, as the Saints are getting run down a little bit. They want to get themselves set up in a fort. They don't want to take the fight out in the open. They are going to avoid their opponents for the time being, but a couple members getting caught out, and you can see now the Saints starting to actually begin this building process as members on all sides of them are furiously scrambling to build up these forts.
Now, it's too bad there for the Saints. Had they initially climbed that hill rather quickly, they would have had the high ground and probably could have got the jump on somebody, maybe find themselves a kill. Because they kind of got stuck, however, forced to kind of play the defensive game. And I like where they're at, kind of perched up atop of the hill. I'll get the prairie dog it for a little bit more, see exactly what's going on around the entire map. A little bit of action towards Mr. Tomato Head over there. But otherwise, nice and quiet. Saints don't have to move for about another minute or so while we figure out where the storm goes.
Saints just taking things nice and slow. Just kind of getting some vision here. Is Ciri doing his little screen peek hacks, his map hacks to get some vision? Because that beautiful fort up on top of the building. There are actually some very well developed buildings here. Obviously, you can guarantee yourself that interior structural design is nothing to be admired, but some pretty impressive buildings so far that we're seeing kind of shoot up all over the map as the teams are getting ready for war as the storm continues to close on in.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it looks pretty, right? As long as it keeps you safe. That's the end game goal, or the main goal, rather, for this late game scenario. As we have about 36 players left to go, which, to be fair, is actually kind of early, considering we started with 90 when we dropped on in. So, Saints already going to find themselves some solid points based off of position. We do see down the very bottom, they're sitting at 210 right here, right now. So, already getting themselves about 30 points or so. 40 points or so in this round. Just a matter of getting themselves just that little bit further. And those early kills definitely helping push them forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to remember that, unlike games 1, 4, and 5, the Saints, they've made it this far, but they actually survived in an initial skirmish this time. And not just survived, but succeeded in it as well. Which may be part of the reason why they were kind of discouraged from taking yet another out in the open fight is, you need to recognize what you're good at and not overextend yourself. And so far, these early skirmishes have not gone in their favor. This game, however, proving to be an exception and a nice change of pace, of course, for the Saints, as we do like to see some action early on in these games.
Absolutely, and of course, seeing them on the right side of that action just makes it that much better. But about a third of the field remaining, 33 players still in this game. Saints are going to be forced to move. They still have their taxi if they do want to use it. It looks like that's exactly the case. Let's completely beeline it right to where these other fortresses are and hope that they don't get shot through the windowsill. It looks like for the most part, other than their rear bumper getting peppered a tiny bit, they're going to get through just a-okay. And not only use other people's forts, but just maybe plow through it of sorts with the car, able to start building something of their own. Pretty much dead center to where this new storm's about to be. Sitting in good position and looking like they're overall uncontested for at least a little bit.
Yeah, starting to actually counter build their way up here through the bottom of their building. And Ciri getting jumped on, losing about 50% of his HP. He's going to have to hide back out and wait for his team to wrap this up, as he does manage to chomp down on some peppers and cabbage. Get those veggies in, brother. Get those leafy greens locked and loaded, because otherwise could have been an early end for the Saints here. 33 players remaining, so already made it to the top third of the player base in this game. But this fight looking a little bit chaotic, as a member actually drops Ciri, trying to do some damage, but all of these walls getting built up in front, not able to land any significant damage. And now Ciri trying to build himself a little bit of a flank angle here, going in from the side. The rest of his teammates powered down onto those buildings. Those metal walls, however, proving to be very difficult to actually deal with, but they're able to shoot right through. They're going to have to build up their own walls as well, as they manage to get through some of those thicker defenses.
Looking at the loadout here for Ciri, one thing that's going to be a little bit painful for him as we go on in this end game, he does not have a whole heck of a lot of assault rifle ammo left. Sure, having that gold scar is great, but you have no ammo for it. It's completely useless. 43 shots this late into the game is not going to last you very long. It's like maybe two or three walls, especially the steel kind, to try and go through, and it's going to be rather ineffective. So hopefully either Laysixx or Juneyy's picked up an excessive amount of assault rifle ammo. Otherwise, Saints are going to be hoping for a kill to try and replenish some of their inventory, but that is a rather risky way to play. And as soon as they have the opportunity, they're on the move. There's some players next to them, though.
You can already see the Saints trying to get into the storm. They don't want to let their position be known right away, and Ciri actually having an incredible amount of patience, not ready to unleash fire until he knew the rest of his teammates were ready to help him follow up. And now the Saints trying to collapse on these members who have built themselves a little bit of a corn maze here of sorts, with all of these walls and barricades, this labyrinth, to get themselves hidden out of sight. And now the storm's starting to close in, but the Saints have managed to find themselves a decent position here to build up, and some members very clearly shown on the outside. I believe actually an NPC, a little confused question mark on his face, as he's wondering where all these houses are just popping up in his neighborhood all of a sudden.
Yeah, poor NPC's not going to know what's going to hit him here in a second if he's not careful. As the storm starts making its way over, of course, Saints in perfect position, but are they, like, arsenal-wise, in a position to really capitalize on it? Like, yes, they have the position, but I don't know if they can actually properly take the fight. Again, ammunition is still something I am very worried about, or at least Ciri specifically. And the fact that none of the Saints have dropped any ammo for him tells me that they might not have very much ammunition left. So they're going to have to take their fights very carefully. Otherwise, they're going to be forced to go in close quarters, which is always way riskier.
Absolutely in close quarters with no ammunition is nearly certain doom for the Saints. It's going to be very difficult to actually find more places to loot. It basically comes down to how many takedowns they can actually secure. You can see this kind of joint build and debuild strategy as the Saints combining that pickaxe with those weapons to actually get in, and that is going to be the takedown. Can they get some ammo off of that? And it looks like Ciri is going to be able to find a little bit of ammo, pad his stats up, and give himself a little bit more fighting power here. 75 now onto the Scar, which is his primary fighting weapon in these close combat situations.
Yeah, so that definitely feels better, and not only did he get the ammunition there for the assault rifle, but also for that shotgun as well. So more and more fighting power available to him, to the point where I don't think he's got to really worry about shotgun ammo for the rest of the game. That assault rifle might still end up dropping, especially since we still have 27 players still in this game. Game 6 definitely going the distance, but Laysixx will not be a part of it. Does get dropped. That must have been a shotgun, because he just basically went from 100 to 0.
Yeah, but Saints at least have 2 members still remaining. And with those two members, they might be able to get themselves a little bit farther into this game. 26 players still left on the board. Saints try to find themselves a safe position. They know they're playing at a man disadvantage. They've got to play a little bit safer than they would perhaps like to. Taking some time to actually regenerate on some of these shields that had otherwise been taken down in previous combats. And now the Saints under a little bit of fire, but they are going to be able to get the first knockdown. Looking at two more, nearly managing to finish up that kill as the walls are constantly built around, but they are able to actually clean up on that first opponent. And now trying to build back up, however, the Storm slowly closing in as they're furiously trying to build their way through in a nice little 1v1 at melee range. And that's going to be the knockdown for Ciri. Can he round out this kill to clean it up? And that is going to be the takedown there as Ciri does manage to grab the elimination. However, that Storm dealing tons of damage to his HP. He is the only member remaining on his team. He needs to get out of there quickly with only just a sliver of health left. Ciri, however, he is in a rough spot, but he is, however, in the top 15 players in the end of this round, and he's able to build up a little bit, hide out for just a second, and refill on some of these potions, but that Storm is still closing in.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. He has nothing to heal for his green health, so basically 2 ticks of the Storm, or maybe 2 or 3 ticks will finish the job. He finds a kill steal, actually, so that's going to be another free 2 points on the board. Huge points for Ciri and the rest of the Saints. 13 left in the game. As of right now, he's pretty well uncontested. Not in too bad of a position, all things considered. Put the Saints probably in a top 5 as of this moment. See if he can do that or better. He finds one player.
Yeah, Ciri looking at potentially getting into this 1v1 situation. Hasn't had much of a time to build up his shields. Maybe going to look for an opportunity as soon as things calm down a little, but they do have eyes on him and they know he's very low. They want to chase him out. Ciri kind of getting dropped a little bit in this build race. Take things a little bit slowly, trying to craft his way out and maybe see if he can get himself somewhere in a good defensive tight space where he can chug down the rest of those shield potions and actually give himself some fighting power. But he's kind of got to be on the move here as he knows that his opponents, only 9 remaining, are starting to converge on his location.
The problem too is these small potions don't let you go above 50 shields, so it doesn't matter if he has that much. He cannot go up to 100 with just those alone. Definitely a frustrating mechanic of the game. With that being said, about 37 effective HP here for Ciri. Finally gonna be able to take maybe 2 swigs of these potions. Still has a bunch more, but that's as much as he's gonna get. 70 HP and a dream, and he finds himself another one. Just able to find these stragglers, just cleaning up over and over again. He's got 8 eliminations by himself. I'm sure he's hit the cap with his team included at this point. So now it's just about survival and then worrying about maybe that final kill to find themselves in a position to victory royale. It's going to be a tough one, but he's on pace to do it.
Yeah, 5 players remaining left in this game. Ciri caught in the Storm with an enemy on both sides. It's a dangerous situation, and that's going to be the end of the run for the Saints. However, a 243-point score for the Saints as they round out and move on into Session 7. This is an incredible run for the Saints, and regardless of Ciri, not actually able to find the victory royale, you know that they're just going crazy in a voice chat right now with an incredible performance from him to kind of round things out individually for his team.
Yeah, considering the situation that they were in, to be able to place top 5 for the team while basically maxing out on all of your elimination points, absolute best case scenario. We had what, 170 something before that round, so yet another high points paying round. We'll see exactly where that put them in just a moment, but we'll have to catch that as we hop in what will be game number 7, and it's starting to get to the point where we can see some interesting strategy. We'll talk about it when we come right back for game 7. Also, a reminder, as we have more action coming up this week, especially here for the PlayVS side of things, as PlayVS Rocket League, we have ourselves a doubleheader tomorrow at 8 p.m. 2 back-to-back matches, 8 p.m. and 9:15. Looking forward to another fantastic day of Rocket League. Be sure to join us then. Now let's hop in the swing of things here. Game number 7, about to drop on in. As of right now, double checking that scoreboard, Saints were in the top 10 of the last time I checked, but if I refresh, that very well might switch up. Gonna double check. Nope, as of right now, still sitting there in the top 10. So after a struggling game 2 and 3, Saints have made themselves like top 10 finishes ever since then.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think they've only played 6 games so far, and we've nearly exhausted our entire 3-hour block. So only about 45 minutes left, and the Saints, currently leading the scoreboard strong. Maybe with the last 45 minutes, they might be able to get themselves another close game or two, round out the score for tonight's series. But being in the top 10 out of what you said, roughly 200 teams competing. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're definitely touching on to something there when you're mentioning in regards to the time, because this is where you kind of got to start making a decision for the side of St. Clair. Like when you're hopping on in, what kind of gameplay, what kind of style do you want to do here? Because sure, you could finish things off with a bang with a late game. Oftentimes we'll see whichever, when it gets to like the final game of the season or of the session, Saints will, without question, try to go for as long as possible for a late game finish. But when you're getting to this close to the end and you still have games available, it does kind of leave the door open for a bit of a go for broke battle style. Get as much points you can off of quick eliminations, and then don't worry about the late game. Sure, you might end up going down early, but that's fine. Hop back into the queue. As we did see in the break, it did take us a good 5 minutes or so to actually get into a lobby. So it's going to be a little bit tight on time if the Saints want to try and get their full value of 10 games.
So how would things work, Danners, if, let's say, they finish this game at 10:55 and they manage to find the game before 11 p.m.? Are they allowed to resolve that game, or does the score end at 11?
They are allowed to finish that game as long as the matchmaker finds them a game prior to 11. Like the absolute worst case scenario there for the Saints would be, say they finish a game at 10:55, but then they get stuck in queue for another 6 minutes, and all of a sudden it's 11 o'clock and there's no game for you and you miss out. So as long as it starts before 11, they can go the distance, to say the least.
Nice. That's a good opportunity for the Saints, because 45 minutes should be enough time to resolve this game, even if they decide to push for a late game, which it seems like the Saints might be willing to do, as they've kind of started things off nice and slow, again playing to the outskirts and taking their time before breaking into the storm, just farming up on their way in, stopping for bounties and quests as they can.
And I still just can't get over the silly driving there from some of our Saints members, looking like drivers in my racing rookie rally cross races, just bad jumps and flipping themselves all over the place. As we're gonna see, that purple scar get picked up once again by dueling this dude. There it is, pick it up, all set and good to go. And Ciri's loadout, not too bad to get started with, to be fair. Lots of utility.
Yeah, it's good to have all these options for combat, and already got eyes on an enemy opponent as they start furiously building their defense. It looks like they are going to retreat back to the vehicle and regroup with that last team member, who's currently a little bit out of the way.
Oh.
Looks like they've got themselves a bounty as well, still currently equipped, and might try to resolve that before it's too late, before somebody else poaches that away. The Saints have quite a little bit of time here to figure out how they want to play the rest of this game out.
They're aggressively making their way up towards the top here, where they can find themselves possibly a little bit more loot, but the likelihood of them finding some sort of confrontation is much greater, considering we just saw some players near that Sweaty Sands area. So, not fearing an engagement this time by. In fact, they might necessarily want one. We'll have to see as we move forward here. The storm about to make its way down.
It's long games like this and out on the beachfront that really make me wish that, vacations were a real thing that we could do and take. It's been a very long time since I've gone anywhere nice and sunny with a warm beach, and, kind of miss it, Danners, I'm not going to lie.
Well, here's the thing. Have you had yourself a vacation of sorts via a game itself, like an interesting, notable environment of some sort? I mean, I know you spent a lot of time on Summoner's Rift, but is there any other game that may have had like some sort of nice environment that felt kind of relaxing to hang out in?
Oh, of course. I mean, over the summer, as soon as the pandemic hit, I was trapped at home, and my internet connection was so bad I couldn't even play like Runeterra or Magic the Gathering, which was, at the time, what I was really into. I literally could not run a card game. That's how bad my connection was. So I went on Steam, and I just started buying like a crap ton of RPGs, like the entire Witcher franchise, the entire Tomb Raider franchise, and those are some pretty beautiful games. There's some very aesthetically pleasing games as well. They are a little dark and gloomy because they're suspenseful and thriller-esque. So not the sunny beachside views that I'm getting to experience and enjoy now, but definitely some nice scenery to appreciate for sure.
Absolutely, definitely makes sense. A lot of those RPG environments, nice and relaxing, nice and chill, or like you were saying, with it being gloomy, definitely makes sense.
Yeah, that's the one thing, for a game like Fortnite, it's very sunshine and rainbows everywhere. Even Ciri just playing with his toys as he's walking around the map, pulling up that basketball. He's enjoying himself out by the beach. He's gonna play some beach ball, just chilling out, relaxing. However, this time, for the first time in a while this set, we actually see Ciri split off from the rest of his team, kind of holding himself alone in this summertime office space without the rest of his team around him.
I was curious as to what he was waiting for, but I guess it will be this extra bounty coming through this time by, and it does make sense considering they don't necessarily have to move very far for this this next safe zone, for this next storm. So as long as they're not scared about finding themselves getting engaged upon, you can split up a little bit. Ciri does have the Rocket League car here as well, so you can get back in the dodge nice and quickly as long as he doesn't find himself up a tree. And gather everybody up and get ready to move on forward towards the center, which is looking like exactly where they're going to be going. They're going to leave Juneyy behind, but that seems to kind of be the play style where Ciri and Laysixx tend to charge on through, and Juneyy collects everything that these guys are just missing.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a roamer or flanker that's confident enough to maintain their positioning so that they can pick up on all the things that you missed. And Ciri employing this rocket ball back and forth climbing strategy, which is definitely more effective than some of his previous driving attempts, but far more nerve-wracking, to say the least. Definitely feeling a little bit of my stomach churning watching this car drive and going for a nice little shot. However, Ciri dealing tons of damage onto the shield. They're going to force that opponent back. However, they are able to build some defenses. But Ciri got a ton of damage on some beautiful connected shots, even from such a long distance.
Yeah, good mixture, couple of shield shots, couple of shots into the car itself, but still being able to just tear some shields off from that far distance, like you're saying. An absolutely fantastic shot there from Ciri, going to force a couple of resources away from that player. We do see where the next storm is going to be located, and sure enough, we're pretty much right where the Saints are standing, is where things are going to be taking place just south of Holly Hedges. So all those teams that may have just exited the area, they have to come back, and Saints have the high ground. In theory, this could be a open field day for the Saints to push, or not necessarily push forward, but find these stragglers coming back.
Yeah, it's one of the blessings of the map for sure when you're able to find yourself in a good, solid position here. You don't have to worry about moving too much. You can take this time to do a little bit of redevelopment and reconstruction. And as I say that, Ciri is actually going to relocate a little bit as he yeets his car up over the mountaintop. It's going to smash right through the garage door. Not the best parking job I've seen, but it's fine. It gets the job done.
I didn't realize that car had boost too. That's just funny. Flip it on its lid, but it's a-okay. You don't have to move anywhere right now. Just hopefully you don't have to evacuate this area in quick manner anytime soon, because that will probably slow you down a little bit.
That's a good point. It's it's important to recognize that the vehicle is a little bit out of commission now, and that other car
Okay, you can't flip it.
Easy flips. I was gonna say that would have been pretty nerve-wracking, but they are able to get that flip off nice and easy. And Ciri completely alone as his teammates starting to catch back up, and they're moving their way down deeper into the storm. As you said, this team really likes to center themselves, and it's likely that that's what they're going to be doing. I believe they're approaching an oil tanker here, but that tanker looks like it's already been claimed. So another team has already looted the bounty here. So it's just going to be the Saints making a slow approach on foot towards the center of that eye.
Thought the Laysixx was going to run Ciri down there for a second, but one funny thing about Fortnite is when you do hit your own teammate with a car, you just kind of send them flying without actually dealing any damage to them. Which did have one funny play earlier on, but I'll have to hang on a second as we do see a bit of an engagement down here, just on the very southern side, right on the shoreline. See, Ciri on the chase. One player fighting back, but as of right now, seems to be a 3-on-1, but where is this player's teammates? Are they with him? Ciri, not going to wait to find out. Diving right into the middle of things.
Ciri's diving in, but just because you don't see him doesn't mean they're not there. And he's actually going to lose about half of his shield here in this fight as the rest of his teammates start to group up a little bit here. He's just going to take that opportunity to refill on some shields and build himself a staircase downwards. Actually looking like he's going to go in from the bottom, hacking and slashing his way through the ground floor. The opponent's caught right on top of that as they are able to rebuild up that stairway. So they do have eyes on them. Ciri nearly finding that headshot with the shotgun as he's breaking his way through this ground floor. He's going to go for the flank now again and actually chasing in a little deeper. It looks like there is more than one person. There's no way one person can build this fast. So Ciri trying to get his way in. He's nearly got done it. He doesn't want to waste too much ammo, so he's using his pickaxe quite a bit. You can see that weapon just not able to break through those walls efficiently enough as that opponent is able to run their way out. But Ciri does find the knockdown and hopefully will find the kill in just a second as well as he gets the headshot. That is going to be the first kill for St. Clair in this game. It's the player count now reduced to 45, and I believe some teammates on the run away from this team fight, but so far the Saints still in a little bit of a combat situation here.
Yeah, you'd think they're still close, right? Because like you were saying, like, if it was just that one player, they were building hella fast, which, as much as I want to give credit to the opponent, I'm not necessarily 100% convinced, so... If he had teammates, they must have evacuated. All is quiet now. Saints still in perfect position. Again, as we see the storm make its move, now they have to move a little bit as it's going to go even more south of this shoreline. But this is going to be interesting. We hardly ever see the storm take this position that it's in right here, right now, because there is a lot of water in play, which... maybe see maybe 1 in every 30 games, like a situation like this. So it'll be very interesting, to say the least, how the water makes a difference of things.
Yeah, for the time being, there is going to be water on in the storm's eye. However, it is likely that the storm will shift its way away from the coastline, and you can already tell the Saints they're using this time that they have, this precious time that they have, to refill on some resources as Ciri forces out his opponents to build up some wooden walls on their journey in that ship out and across the ocean, and actually going for a cleanup attack. It looks like somebody's straggling on the edge of the boat, and they actually put some counter pressure on there, and he actually looks like he's able to blow up the ship, forcing the members into the water. And now the Saints might be able to find an opportunity to pick off some enemies before they actually breach the shoreline.
Yep, they still have a couple seconds left on the board before the storm starts coming in, and fair enough, they are very close to the actual safe zone. You see, I believe that was Ciri put the mark down on the map, like, okay, we're going here, we're building here. And of course, it's no longer like the old classic trying to get through the water where you're super, super slow and a sitting duck. Normally you'd be able to kind of dolphin swim your way through, but Saints are not actually deep enough into the water to be able to take advantage of that. So they're going to be forced to use some of their cheaper materials to try and get over there. We see another building in the vicinity as well. Look at the take care of the place that Saints are trying to go for. Going to try and reposition their fort alongside some other steel walls, but they have to get up quickly. They're starting to get surrounded a little bit.
Saints now in a tricky situation. They found themselves a pretty decent spot inside the storm, a good centered location, but they just haven't been able to actually build up anything too meaningful yet, as they're slowly beginning their remodeling process. Ciri with some good knowledge and awareness to know that not currently under fire, doesn't need to worry about siege just yet, but you can see very clearly off into the distance there's some heavy building and conflict starting to break out nearby as the Saints approaching that conflict zone. 39 members remaining in this game, so top third of the player base remaining, and the Saints only have a limited amount of time to actually get themselves set up in this fight.
Well, they have enough time to check their dancing skills out, their toys, or whatever the heck they happen to have collected from time and time playing this game over and over again. I mean, we got the broom, but there is no sweeps happening here tonight. Storm, however, has found its new section, and the Saints are not in it. They're going to have to move even more to the southeast. And as basically 2 islands and everything else is water. This is going to be a tough situation, especially if whatever building you're on ends up breaking.
Oh, Ciri with the beautiful aim. He wanted his teammates to group up so they could get the knockdown right away, but they weren't able to find it just yet. Actually, I believe they did manage to take somebody off the building and find themselves a nice little kill here in this round. And there they go, setting those dance poses again. Looking to get ready for another party. I believe they will just refill up on those shields.
That was very unusual from that player, though. He just straight up jumped down to try and confront 3 Saints. I mean, unless you just, like, okay, this is my fate, I go into the next matchmaking queue. Because otherwise that was weird.
You've lost your teammates, you're 1 versus 3. They've got all eyes on you. Just screw it, let's see what we can get done. But obviously doesn't work out too well. Ciri with the gas canister in hand might be trying something a little cheeky here.
I mean, those gas canisters can definitely be messy for just obviously lighting everything on fire, especially in these close quarters, like building battles, but not going to be in
clanging again.
Yeah.
It's dance time. #1 victory royale. Yeah, Fortnite, we about to get down. Diggity. As Ciri getting himself a little bit excited for this next fight. However, the dance party lasted a little too long, and now the cops are here to shut things down, and that is going to mean the Ciri's going to lose all of his potions in defense. He does still have some potions in his inventory, however, so he will be able to refill himself up nice and slow using some of those minor shields.
Yeah, I'll be able to top himself up to full just once, however. He's completely out of shield healing. Does still have the cabbage available for green health if it does get to that situation, but we're not quite there yet, and it's pan time.
Oh my god. I like that.
Putting on a show for us here today.
Ah, jeez. I don't have sound on, so it's so much better for me. I just see the silence hand smacking.
Well, oddly enough, we don't hear the pan either, so it's kind of funny. It just... we see him banging on the pan, but nothing is actually happening. However, we do see the battle now starting to ensue, as we do see some players above the Saints. And, okay, we're just going all the way down south this time by. Very unusual spot for the Storm.
Now, Saints have about 35 seconds before that Storm is going to start closing in, so they need to make some decisions quickly about how they want to play this. Ciri is scoping things out, trying to get some vision on where his opponents might be, as the Saints are getting ready to make this approach. Now down to 33 members. Yeah, there's somebody quite close, and it looks like they might go for a quick engage here as Ciri starts to break down these walls and dive in deep, and they're actually going to make the long sprint down the shoreline, using the water to hide their cover as they break their way through closer in towards that new storm spawn.
At least they could have the dolphin swim available since the water is deep enough, or they're going to find some contact here with a couple other opponents. Get the jump, a little bit of shield damage done, but not enough to knock anybody down as of yet. Never mind, I'm a liar. I believe that's Juneyy is going to finish off 1. Continue to try and make our way towards that safe zone. But yet another one taken down off screen. Laysixx maybe getting himself on the board there that time. But Saints find themselves 2 eliminations. Just in the little river here itself.
Nice work from the Saints to actually get aggressive here before the end of the game. It's a nice change of pace, and they are able to find some good shield potions to get their, you know, as a nice little reward for that. That purple scar really paying off for Ciri so far in these fights. And now getting closer to where they want to set up here. That storm is closing in quite fast, however, so Ciri needs to really get a move on here. The rest of the Saints have done a decent job of avoiding the storm's damage, and it looks like they are going to be able to get themselves inside the barriers of the storm, just neatly tucked inside the storm's walls. Oh, just barely miscalculated. Now they're good. Now they're in the clear. And you can actually see that next storm spawn is going to be fully out into the water, it looks like.
Yep, so we're going to have basically everybody use whatever resources they have available. And I'm looking at the Saint side of things. The leader in this situation cannot be Ciri. Look at his resources. Only 91 wood and just a couple hundred steel. That is barely going to get you even like halfway to the safe zone. So someone else is going to have to take the reins, and then I'm sure everybody else is probably hurting a little bit with it being out in the open like this. There's not much time to, or you have, not necessarily don't have much time because you always are a little bit stressed for time, but if it was in the woods or something, you can maybe find yourself some wood or like find some brick or something on the way to the next safe zone. Out in the water in the open like this, no chance in hell. You have what you have, and that's it.
Absolutely, it's a very stressful situation for the Saints. Obviously, not having a whole lot of resources is going to impact the way that the next few fights break out, and the Saints already engaged in a little bit of a turf war here as the enemy team tries to build their way onto their fort. But that's going to be an absolute structural collapse for the Saints as they manage to find a beautiful angle and take down nearly the entire building. However, they are starting to receive some counterfire from the opposite end, and now Ciri has to get a little creative with his building here as he leaves the Saints onwards into a little bit of a charge, diving forward a bit. However, looks like they're setting themselves up in a very similar position to what just happened to them. All of this aerial building, but nothing below to keep it structurally sound. And one well-aimed shot or rocket blast could send this fort tumbling down. The Saints in a very precarious situation right now. They're trying to get eyes on their opponents.
The Storm is basically just trolling the players at this point. It's like, oh, we made you were here, and now we made you move there. We're gonna bring you right back to where you were, pretty much. The Storm is gonna keep going back and forth as of this moment, and Saints, well equipped, still very healthy as well. And I'm looking at Ciri, he has healing of both types if necessary, both the shield and green health as well. With Juneyy and Laysixx rather healthy, the fact that we're within the last 20 players and we still have all 3 players makes me very excited as a Saints fan. We keep on going.
It's a very good situation for the Saints. However, you have to be careful with such a tight storm, and an even tighter storm on the horizon. You can see that new one that's just spawned is ridiculously small and also, again, completely out of the ocean. You need to watch out for these aerial combats and people coming from above and below. The Saints are still all alive. Ciri, however, pushed outside into the storm, taking quite a bit of damage here. He's trying to out-heal it, but I don't know if he has the resources to do it. He's waiting out on some of these damage, and they are going to get taken down because of that, unfortunately zoned out of the storm. And the Saints securing 291 points in that round as they move on to Session 8, I believe. Incredible job from the Saints in this game.
I mean, that was good, but I felt like that could have been better, to say the least. Unfortunately, that last little transition just straight up did not go in their favor. They did run into some other players and whatnot and just instantly got shot down. I'm being told here by Energizing here and the chat. So sure enough, apparently if you do hit somebody with a harpoon, you do pull them to you like your scorpion. So okay, remember how like you made the proper call out then where you said the Saints pulled the player down. I thought the person jumped. Nope, you were completely right. So props to you on that one. Good catch. But with that being said, round 8 around the corner. We, in theory, have 3 rounds ahead of us, but we only have 20 minutes. So I highly doubt that the Saints are going to find full value in regards to being able to play all of their rounds, but at least the rounds that they are getting have been much better. It's been basically top 10, basically top 8 rather, every single game with the exception of games 2 and 3. So it's been a solid run so far here for the Saints in this final week of the Play vs. Fortnite Trios. And we'll probably catch the conclusion within the next game or two. We're going to throw it to a very quick break as they load in, and we'll catch you in a few minutes. All right, 292 points on the board right now. Game number 8 about to get down. Let's hop on in as we have our Saints going for the exact same spot as usual, just over the Coral Castle. And we'll get to see as time is ticking. 15 minutes left in the session. It's starting to get nerve-wracking. It's crunch time here for our Saints.
As the Saints narrowly dive down past the Coral Castle back to the home zone, the space that they like to be, the beach town, baby. That's where they're going. Just getting nice and comfortable. You know, everybody's tired of these stay-at-home orders, and the Saints are saying, no, we want to go explore. We want to go party. We want to go to the beach. It's just a joke. Of course, everyone's, respecting the rules and regulations, but they do like to have a little bit of fun out here when they're on this Fortnite map and find themselves some nice loot to get things going. Already some weapons being pinged out on this initial load-in, and Ciri, being the captain that he is, turning around right away to get some vision on his opponents and actually going to charge right in there with the race car, but the truck steal is going to allow his opponents to drive on out. So even though he had this nice little advantage, he's not going to be able to get too much out of it. Just secure a little bit more loot and regroup with his team shortly afterwards.
That almost feels like intentionally done just to throw us off. The one player going to take the shield that that truck had to give. It just means that the 3 of our Saints do not have it, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way with some potions to start things off here. You see Ciri assault rifle in hand alongside that bow and arrow. Gonna have to just farm on up and take their time, because once again, this is going to be the second game in a row. They do not have to move very far to get into the next safe zone. So sit pretty and get as much resources as possible so you'll be as strong as you can be moving forward to this mid-game.
Nothing unusual here from the Saints. You can see Ciri's got a lot of fire in him. He wants to round this one out with a bang, and the aggressive chase in the car to start things off, however, not going to connect it too quickly. They're going to find something as they move a little bit closer on in and find another chest, and nothing too major there, just a little bit better shielding for Ciri, of course, as he starts to burn through some of those larger potions, and actually now at 100% shield is going to pick that back up, and now Saints are really getting ready to fight. However, one of the members actually getting taken out in the back end as the Saints get flanked. I believe that was Juneyy got taken down, so it's just Ciri and Laysixx. Somebody kind of going in hero mode. Actually, 2 members. Ciri does have eyes on the second. They're going to have to start defensively building, but Laysixx should be able to get the drop on them. Now Laysixx being taken down as well, so it's just Ciri in a 1 versus 4 situation. This is definitely not ideal for the Saints, however. He's getting some nice shots down, doing a good job of keeping his composure in this single-handed mission here. 1 versus only the Lord knows how many. And trying to find himself a good defensive spot now. Getting himself a good little tight build, getting that roof set up above him.
I mean, if he could stall this out a little bit, he could find himself some more points, and he's actually going to possibly find himself the elimination. Can he finish it? He is going to be able to get it before ending up going down. Still sitting there with about 50% of his health. And him just lasting these little couple seconds, that was the difference between placing 29th and 22nd and then having the kill on top of that as well. So to be honest, this is kind of a best case scenario for the Saints. Like, they went in, they got themselves a couple of extra points, got the kill points as well in that spot. So they have enough time to hop right back in the queue. So were they intended on this being the last game or not? They are going to get to do themselves one more round, more than likely, unless something very similar happens, as we're about to get ready for game number 9.
Yeah, Saints jump right back into queue. Hopefully they can find something within the next 10 minutes. They've got 10 minutes to do it. So we're just kind of left here sitting tight, waiting on until we get that confirmation of that queue pop.
Yeah, so we'll probably, unless... no, I don't have necessarily anything to really top up with that one. That one was pretty straightforward. We'll take another quick breather again. And I'll keep throwing it to break over and over again. But unfortunately, is the nature of Fortnite queue. So
hey, don't worry about it. I'm chilled out. I'm laying back. I'm getting comfy. Let's get to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So throw it to break one more time, and we'll get into the swing of things for what is likely to be the finale. Not guaranteed, but likely to be the finale in just a moment or two. All right, game number 9 about to get started here. Possibly the last one, unless the Saints take a completely aggressive, guns blazing approach. But even if then, I'm not sure if you'll get back into matchmaking in time. So more than likely, last round of the night. Starting this game with 90 players in the session. Saints sitting at 303 in regards to their points, which in total puts them within top 20 as of this moment. One more push, see if they can get themselves in the top 10. Gonna be tough, but not impossible. Let's see how our Saints do.
It's been a long night, Jenners. We've been here chilling, enjoying the gameplay thus far. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the Saints, get themselves a nice, solid win here. They have the luxury of the fact that they can play this game out right up until its end. No point in going for anything cheeky like they did in previous rounds. And, just try to get themselves to that late game, which so far, as we've seen, they've had really great success with. You can see how the Saints, even with such a long-distance spawn point, they really like committing to this beachfront. And the fact that they're going to take such a long time landing here could really get themselves punished if other teams, they collapse on other teams and they haven't had the necessary time to loot, depending on where that first storm spawn is. It's a very risky move from the Saints.
Yeah, at least with it being so far on the outside, the likelihood of somebody else flying this far is probably going to be somewhat slim. As we do see Ciri, he's going to come up short from where he would probably want to normally land, but with the closest opponents still being at the poly hedges so far away, they at least have themselves maybe a minute or two of looting prior to any sort of engagement happening. And yeah, it's definitely been a longer evening here on the Saints channel, and then I do want to give you a big props, Shadi, because you picked up this gig to learn Fortnite, and I totally forgot to mention the point that this was a 3-hour session, so I thank you for not dropping out on us halfway or whatnot. In for the long haul, and definitely, I would assume, learning a lot here with the chaos tonight.
Don't worry, I've had my PJs on since the start of the cast. I can't see that. I'm already in comfy mode. It's all good. It's all fine. We're all chilling. Let's just say it's been a draining night for sure. I've been learning a lot and very quickly. But I mean, it's cool to see the other games that we have on the channel. I spend so much of my time coaching games and casting games for you, but I don't really often get to kind of invest or explore into games that I either used to play or have never played, and it's a cool opportunity for me, and I really appreciate everyone in chat being patient with me as I kind of go through the process of learning with you. I'm not a complete noob, but I'm definitely, I won't claim to be an expert of things that I'm not, so thank you all, I guess, for that opportunity, and thanks to the players for giving us such a good set tonight to really work through and get to explore.
Absolutely, and again, big thank you for sticking around here tonight. But then you're definitely right. With all the games that we do have here on the Saints side of things, it's sometimes easy to kind of focus in onto one or two, but being able to kind of understand as much as possible across as many titles as possible, I know personally has always been a goal of mine, which is why I know personally I'm excited. The fact that we could possibly get to start from scratch again. I know if you look at some of our recruiting ads, Valorant is one of the titles that is being tossed around right now, and it's definitely one of the newer shooters out there. Yes, I understand it plays like Counter-Strike, but a little bit different as well. So if we do happen to get ourselves yet another new varsity title here on the same side of things, I look forward to learning that one as well. And then, I mean, Fortnite is Fortnite. It is always a learning experience, considering this game does not stay the same for more than a month.
It's true, but I think even to your point about Valorant, I think the game may be new at a collegiate level, but it's been out long. You know, most people have either seen it or have encountered it or played it themselves. So it's definitely one of those games where, you know, you can kind of expect, you know, some decent recruitment options going into next term. I know there's already a number of players on campus that play the game pretty well and pretty consistently. And I've talked to some of them and asked them, you know, what are your thoughts? Like CSGO, Valorant, where's your head at? And, you know, while most people are still kind of comfortable sticking to that main game and, you know, really just playing what they enjoy, there are a few that have, you know, expressed interest in, you know, maybe looking at Valorant as, you know, that next way forward, that next option. And it's definitely one of those games where I think there's a lot of potential for esports growth.
Absolutely. Definitely excited to learn it again. I was pretty gung-ho when it was in the Valorant beta, played a bunch of it. Chelsea and I both played a ton of it. And then the game actually came out, and we never touched it ever again. I don't know why that is, but just the way it seems to have lined up. As we do see, once again, probably going to be the purple scar being tossed around here by the NPC. Was that a car just flying in the air? Yeah, that's a car flying in the air. Something is going down here just on the inside of Sweaty Sands. And it's explosive, to say the least.
Yeah, it looks like that car got moved around again, and I think Ciri was able to catch it in his eye line. I know I was, so I can guarantee you that he was too. So right underneath that gas station, you can see him being very close. There's vision on that player, and they're just going to get grouped up here and go for a triple headshot maybe as the rest of them all group up. However, they are about to make a run for it. They need to catch him before he gets loaded up into the truck, and it looks like there's some teammates there, and the group fire is just not enough to lock down that kill, and now the Saints are going to be spotted out here as they start making their slow approach towards the opposing team, who's rapidly building these wood structures. However, pretty early on in the game, most teams don't have too many resources available to them. And it's going to be an opportunity for Ciri to try to get himself a flank off here as they make their way above the rooftops and try to get themselves in a better position for this next fight.
That coordinated firing squad there from the Saints was very well put together. Not enough to get the kill, but still did so much damage across all of the team members from the Saints side of things. But now starting to push on in. However, they have to be a little bit careful. We did see the one player did find himself a rocket launcher. Of course, very limited ammunition and rocket launchers in this current patch, but still have to respect it nonetheless. You try to get over aggressive with wood, all of a sudden your entire structure is gone. You see there's a little bit of a standoff here in Sweaty Sands.
They're just taking things very slowly as they start to make their way in. But they don't have enough vision to really force this fight too much. So Ciri getting in closer, trying to see if he can get himself a nice little high ground advantage. They are actually going to be able to spot this player out, and that's going to be the knock. Can they round out the kill? As they get closer and closer in. The floor is actually completely on fire as somebody lit up a gas canister to set that ablaze, and that's going to be one takedown as Ciri looks for number 2, looks for number 3. However, at melee range takes quite a bit of damage, losing his entire shield in one go. He's going to retreat himself out a little bit as the rest of his teammates going to clean it up, and I believe the Saints were able to wipe out that team fight and secure the victory, secure the bag, and get themselves out of there as they win that first team fight on Sweaty Sands.
Oh, they win the fight, and there was so much juicy loot in that as well. We see I believe that is the golden shotgun here. Going to be tossed around the team. We got fish, we have shielding. It's just an absolute perfect scenario here for St. Clair, and I don't know where that that gas canister came from, but if that was left by that opposing team, that just sealed their fate. Like, Ciri calls it out, blows it up, destroys all of the remaining like walls that was kind of keeping that team safe, and it just made it so free for them to just open fire and take care of all 3 of those eliminations. So sure, they're a little bit worse for wear in regards to their health, but it's nothing that can't be recovered from, especially this early in the game. And 3 points, definitely nice.
Yeah, even with the health disadvantage, you never turn down an opportunity to get yourself an early lead like that, especially in the last game of the set. You know, get as many kills as you can to really pad those stats, and if they're kills that you're confident that you can make, you go for them every time. However, Laysixx did catch somebody out on the left there in another car, and Ciri slowly approaching. They aren't ready to make the commitment yet, but you can see that other team building up into that house there as Ciri starting to deal some structural damage there. He's going to swap things around, look for that harpoon potentially to set himself up for another grab, see if he can yoink someone down and get that kill.
One thing to take note of, too, is the Saints, they need to be careful now. We have just hit 11 o'clock. There is no more matchmaking. There's no more do-overs in this PlayVS session. They have to make this run, or as their final run, to get as far as they possibly can. As much as you like having that early couple points because of the elimination, going down here would just basically counteract it. So I'm happy to see that they kind of slowed down for a second. Even though the storm is behind them, it isn't moving right now. Take your time, find your opportunity to keep moving forward, but don't force the issue.
I mean, you say this, but I saw that fight and I wanted them to go hard for that. I was getting really excited. Ciri using the harpoon, trying to use the harpoon to pick up that meat. And there he is. He's going to be able to yoink it back. Not usually what you see harpoons being used for. Usually the meat that harpoons are yoinking in are live bait, as opposed to already cooked and curated. But I suppose you have the flexibility to do things how you choose out here in Fortnite.
I mean, I guess as a game developer, you can do however you, or do whatever you please, right? No one's gonna, or no, everybody's gonna tell you otherwise, but you don't have to listen to them, right?
Right. Yes.
30 seconds until the storm starts moving again, a little bit towards the southeast. Saints are gonna have to travel, but of course I do have that vehicle Laysixx is currently, or was currently piloting. Load up on some of their resources. We see Ciri basically loaded up on brick and steel. Just need a little bit more wood, but granted they're in the woods right now, so what a perfect time to load up.
They have the ability to move forward, and they've got eyes on another player, but I believe they were able to see Ciri in the car, hear the noise of that vehicle as Juneyy is going to hop his way in. And I think Ciri's making the call to just dive past, commit to the call. You don't worry about this player on the outside. We can get ourselves established on the inside and catch them on the way out. However, as I say that, he is going to make a nice little scenic detour here and see if he can catch any stragglers on the way up, just slowly scoping out. And there, right ahead, is that a tank? Are they driving a tank right now? What was that?
I did not quite catch it.
Oh, is that? Oh,
all I see is the Velociraptor.
Right.
or whatever you want.
Why wouldn't there be a Velociraptor in the forest? Why not? Just put it on in there. Still chasing after the car. He's a scrappy little bastard, isn't he?
Absolutely. The kind of things that you could say while commentating Fortnite, but without giving it like a second thought. It's like, okay, we're just building. All of a sudden, then yeah, you gotta watch out for the Velociraptor, the wolves.
Yeah, just whipping the fish bomb into the Velociraptor. Just be careful about the flying TNT bombs on the. Don't get hit by a TNT bomb coming off that golf cart into the Velociraptor. Yeah, that's right. That's a sentence. Yeah, I'm not doing English very well right now. I apologize for that, but I don't need to apologize for that. I don't have to talk too much anymore. Because Ciri's going to do the talking for me. As his guns do that work, they're going to get right up in there and do some damage here. As they manage to catch an isolated member here out in this building, they're going to try to frantically build their way out of here. But this is one of those situations where you can build so much, but it's only going to do so little for you as you're caught in this 1 versus 2 situation. I believe that was the takedown. However, Ciri is going to commit a little deeper and try to predict this map movement as he goes above into the rooftops, trying to hacking and slashing his way through as he does some calculated renovating here. Looking to get himself in. However, he is taking a little bit of shield damage as this player's teammates have finally managed to regroup onto the fight. Was able to buy himself a little bit of time, but I believe the Saints should have this takedown momentarily as soon as they can break through these last couple metal walls. Resources must be nearly exhausted here. Now Ciri just slowly looking for a way in.
It does seem like whichever team that they are chasing might be running low on resources. We see a lot of wood being thrown out, and that's kind of like your last-ditch effort when you're in a close-quarters battle like this. You don't want to be using the flimsy stuff when your life is on the line. That being said, though, they might be fighting back pretty decently. I do see Juneyy's health bar dropping a little bit, but at the same time, there is the one player knocked down. Eat him out to the side and make sure that you can get that nice 2 health packs available. Just a little bit of extra loot, but they still have to worry about the one other member, which I think they're hunting down as we speak, closer towards, I believe, Juneyy as at this moment. Slowly but surely getting there. Sure enough, going to knock him down. And Saints are going to find themselves with 2 teamfight victories as soon as they find this last player.
Yeah, already nearing that top 50, and they've won 2 team fights. Already on that third, you can see a gold man there running his way down, and he's going to get taken out. And that means that the Saints, now currently with a total of 8 eliminations across the team, I believe I'm counting that correctly, the Saints, that must be 3 team fight wins then. He's got 2 kills, 6 assists.
I feel like you would be correct then, yes. That would be an absolute fantastic start here for the St. Clair squad, considering that we're basically halfway through and they almost got their elimination quota. That's huge.
Yeah, that's really good to have those extra scores padded. As we mentioned, 20 points if you are able to get those full 10 eliminations. And then, of course, any extra points based on your placement at the end of the round. They have eyes on another member as he's trying to dolphin dive his way through. Dolphin dive and build at the same time. You know, that's pretty impressive multitasking there. But however, he is locked into that building. He's going to waste a lot of his metal trying to get himself out of there, and now starting to slowly build his way up and into this side little hutch on the side. But Ciri is able to get himself a nice little high ground point. He's starting to break through these brick walls as there's spam building on that side. But as Ciri's team, you know, as the Saints start to crowd around him, should be able to find that takedown. They've got him on the ropes here. 3 versus 1 situation. The rest of his team is nowhere to be found. And Ciri just going to use this opportunity to free farm a little bit, as I believe his teammates are able to wrap up that last kill. Doesn't look like anything's shown up yet, though. No assist popping up on Ciri's side, so maybe they just decided that it's not worth chasing. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the macro call there was.
And never mind dolphin diving, they were absolutely sharking that player to the point where even now, with the storm moving in, that player has to move. Otherwise, he's just going to die from storm, and the last players to tag him was the Saints, so they would get the credit anyway. And we see, yeah, they build themselves a little fort. They know he's coming, and they're sure enough just going to make it absolutely brutal for him to try and even make his way over. Going to try and build his way, but at the same time, he is not going to be very long for this world. Absolutely no way he can get any other resources. He's going to be stuck there. But at the same time, though, the other teams nearby might be looking at third party.
Yeah, you can see now that desperation firing, trying to deal some damage to Ciri, see if he can get himself a last game takedown. That is going to be the knockdown coming down. They are going to manage to find the elimination, and that's going to be the Saints now with 10 kills. So they actually did manage to catch that player and one else. It looks like there's an entire team inside that building, and the Saints managed to get themselves not only 2 pickups, potentially a third here, as that last player is just currently spam building just tucked inside the storm. The Saints know that they have the ammunition to continue this fight out, and you can see using that harpoon to pull away at some of those walls and really just frustrate this last standing player. However, Ciri has to be careful about his own shield as he's starting to take a little bit of damage. He's looking to get that pull over the wall, but he's just not able to connect that. That is actually going to be the harpoon being completely exhausted as Ciri chucks that to the side haphazardly. And waits for the rest of his team to maybe find a better angle, but they don't want to waste too much ammo on this, and I believe they are just going to take that victory and move in closer to mainland. As you can see, another fight breaking out just off to the left here.
That's just it. Before that fight really started, Ciri had about 400 assault rifle ammunition. He is now down to 73. Being this low at this point in the game is a little nerve-wracking. And we do see, like that shotgun looks beautiful. Like it's purple, it's loaded, it's good to go, but you can't do anything far away with it, really. So, needs to use that assault rifle sparingly in the next coming moments. Maybe use the shotgun a little bit more often, but it's not very good at dealing damage to buildings. At least, yeah, they can do decent chunks, but by the time that you're pumping the shotgun for the next shot, somebody could blast you instead if the wall goes down. So it's not very good at these close quarters building battles, to say the least.
Yeah, it looks like the Saints are currently under fire as somebody seems to be attacking these buildings a little bit, but the Saints are going to be able to hold on to this a little bit, and now getting that survivor bonus for taking it to the top 50. 10 kills on the board right now. It's absolutely perfect for the Saints, and they are going to be able to get themselves to 20 points plus their top 50 positioning point bonus as well. So the Saints in very good position already into this final game of the PlayVS season finale.
Yep, so far so good. Currently at a total of 332 points, but obviously want to get more if at all possible. And honestly, just have to try and stay low, because going for extra kills are not going to warrant them anything. Just got to survive at this point. maybe see if you can make that push for Victory Royale. But at the same time, just try not to get yourself too overextended. So whichever the combination of things you have to do to make sure that happens is, try your best to go for it. I'm just a mere commentator. I don't know the strategy to get yourself to the end game unless it involves hiding below a building that happens to be there and just waiting for everybody else to die. But otherwise...
Oh, speaking of others that die, Ciri got vision on somebody here down on the bottom side, and the Saints are going to unleash fire. As you mentioned, however, burning through 20 ammunition there on the AR. He is going to have to switch off onto the shotgun as he gets his way a little bit closer, trying to find somebody to take that look for that takedown. But the storm is starting to close in, and they have to keep moving. All that shield damage is helpful, but it doesn't really mean too much when the storm is closing in, and that's the bigger threat. You need to start hitting that green bar and see if you can force out some of these kills. Looking for that turnaround kill, however, there is a player below. Doesn't have the ammunition to fight, and now Ciri getting taken attack from above, and that is going to be Ciri dropping through the storm. Unfortunately, Ciri is going to get taken down. However, the rest of his teammates, Juneyy and Laysixx, are still in this. Can they push for that top 30 as Ciri tries to keep himself, you know, decently close, but he is going to get taken down by Dr. Duke, and that is going to be the kill. And nobody's going to be able to pick up that reboot card, at least not just yet. There might be a run back for it later. You can actually see, I believe this is Juneyy that we're watching. Oh, Laysixx, actually, right up there in the top in gold, if I was paying attention. Does have the ability to go and grab that reboot card, but they're just deciding whether that's actually the wisest choice right now, as that storm is continuing to close in on them, and they're both very low on HP. I don't believe they'll have the opportunity to do that. So it's down to these last two members to round this one out.
Oh, the Saints are separated too, so it just makes things so difficult here. It is going to be up to Juneyy to see how far along can he keep himself alive. Because, of course, eliminations were pretty much good in this situation. Just keep trying to push, keep trying to push in regards to staying, like, pushing through the buildings but trying to stay low, so to speak, is what I'm trying to say here. As we see the storm making its way through. Of course, as soon as Juneyy was fully loaded on health, does get tagged up by the storm. End up going up the underwater route, interestingly enough. Finds a player. They don't know he's there. Instantly taking him down. That's going to be another freebie there given to Juneyy. That guy was just shaking in his boots, so to speak.
Yeah, just a vibing. Just going for a little afternoon dip. However, that storm is going to start closing in. It actually already has. Just 30 seconds left on the movement here as Juneyy starting to make his way closer in. However, getting zoned off by the storm a little bit. That's a ton of damage that Juneyy just ate, and he's going to be able to make this run. I don't know if he has the time or the space. This building right up in his face, making his movement very limited. He's getting kind of blocked off by some of these players that are building counterintuitively against him, forcing him off the zone. He's managed to find himself a nice quick little cranny here. He goes for the damage, but however, he is going to get taken down, and that means that the Saints are going to finish their last game in 12th place here. A decent run for sure. Not the best we've seen, but very hard-fought battle and a great early game as well comparatively to some of the other matches we've seen. So very exciting final game to round out the season finale for the Saints.
Yeah, the gap of top 10 finishes does end there. However, I think the eliminations definitely made up for it there for our Saints squad. So yet another very solid end of the session. I think we're in the 340s if I do recall correctly. Double checking right here right now. It's not going to show me apparently. So I'm going to get that real quick in just a moment. 345 is where we did end up, it looks like, which would have put us just on the outside of the top 10. So it's looking like about an 11th place finish, give or take a couple spots based off of other teams finishing their rounds as well. But yet, again, like 15 in trios where there is over 200, if not more, teams in collegiate action. Another fantastic showing, I'd say, for our Saints. And did you go mute on me?
No, I just think
There.
it doesn't want to do the thing that it's supposed to do, and that's fine. Just sometimes computers just like to have their own fun.
Even the computer's tired.
Yeah, even the computer. That's right. That's exactly right. I had a really great night. Thank you so much for having me on the cast tonight. Obviously, learning opportunity for me, but it was really cool to actually get to see the Fortnite team play live, and they're an incredible squad, and it was really good to see that performance from them tonight. So thank you for having me on the desk.
Yes, big thank you for joining me. I know it was a long one, especially for your first time, but I would say you did very well. So thank you again for joining. Couple other thank yous to go around, of course, would be first off to the sponsors that make this all possible here for the St. Clair Saints varsity esports team, that being the Zeckelman School of Business and Information Technology, St. Clair College, St. Clair's SRC, the St. Clair College Alumni Association, and PCO Lit and Tim Hortons. Thank you for making everything possible here on the St. Clair Saints varsity esports team. With that, one more thank you, of course, to everybody for tuning in off and on, just showing your support here for this Fortnite squad. I know it's a long one for us, and I know sometimes Fortnite can be hard to follow for the viewers at home, but thank you for tuning in anyway to support your local team, your friends, family members, or classmates, whomever they may be. Thank you for supporting. And with that, I know I'm already running out of gas, so we're going to close things out here. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you tomorrow for the Rocket League PlayVS doubleheader. Almost forgot to mention, make sure you follow us here on the Saints Gaming CA Twitch channel and on our Twitter to make sure you catch all the matches live and catch all the results. As in the season may be slowing down, but there's still plenty of action here on the channel. Starting tomorrow, of course, with the Rocket League PlayVS doubleheader. Friday, we have the Hearthstone Collegiate Championship regular season finale. We also then have the Overwatch NECC playoff match Sunday. That time very well may change off of 7, but if it does, we'll be sure to let you know. Thursday at 8 o'clock, we then have nice Fortnite action, the duos pairing this time by. And then next Friday, we have the return of the Hearthstone Collegiate Championships, this time for the playoffs. Be sure to follow us once again. Make sure you tune into everything. And of course, if you think that you have what it takes, make sure you apply right now at our website, of course, stclairsaints.ca/join, for the titles you see on screen, because we are already making signings for players that are going to be competing for us September 2021. So if you think it's too early, think again. Get in and get applying right here, right now. That being said, we're closing off for the night. Thank you again for tuning in. We shall see you tomorrow for Rocket League.